You good? Peace, y'all. What up? It's your man, Boxwon, aka Buck50, coming to you live from location, Philadelphia, PA. Thank you for tuning in to Black Xperience. Shout out to Stance for allowing us to use their platform, so we can share our voices, our stories. I really just wanted to organize this panel discussion because over the last 2 weeks, everything that's been happening around the world socially, I feel like we've only been going to certain people for their opinion and their perspective because they have a better name in the dance community because they dance better. And I feel like though that's unfair because all of us have our own experiences. And the fact that we have people from multiple generations here, they have wisdom that some of the younger people like myself might not be privy to. So it's important that we give them the proper platform so they can communicate and educate everybody. So, the first person I'd like to introduce is my co-moderator, my OG, queen mother herself, B-Girl Macca.
What's going on, everybody? Thank you so much, Boxwon, for that introduction. That was amazing and beautiful. I'm really excited to be here today to speak about the Black Xperience within the world, period, and then within hip-hop as well. So I'm really glad that that Box hit me up to actually do this and to be able to co-moderate it as well. I think it's very important for us to have this kind of like safe space in that sense to be able to do it because it's within us all, the Black B-boys and B-girls that are in here on this panel. But to also be able to share with y'all, how we feel, what we're thinking, what we're going through, what our perspectives are, and to do this specifically that's by us and for us, So I'm really excited to hear what each and every one of our guests has to say today, and to be able to share that with all of you out there that are tuning in and watching. So yes.
All right, word. So getting right into our guests, we have a lot of people spanning from a lot of different backgrounds, a lot of different cities, a lot of different years, range of experience. So first up, I want to introduce another OG of mine, somebody who gets on my nerves because he's just Black and he tells it like it is. But I always appreciate him and the wisdom and the guidance that he gives me, even though I always give him, heck. So I want to introduce B-Boy Nemesis, NYC in the house. Go ahead and introduce yourself to the people and them.
How you doing, everybody? I'm Nemesis. I'm from New York City. I represent the Bronx, New York. Born and raised here. Experienced hip hop all my life. Couldn't remember a time when I didn't know it. You know what I mean? So, my parents are hip hop, my mother, my father, my uncles, you know what I mean? And I'm here to offer my perspective. I've been dancing for going on 24 years now. Traveled the world through dance, been in many battles, and I'm just here to offer, my thoughts and what I think on the current climate of today. And maybe I can, offer perspectives that might be the alternative to the most.
Nice. I really like how Nem was saying that, your parents are hip hop, your uncles, this is what's important because, I feel like it goes beyond just this one generation that we're in, or in your generation, but it's part of the lineage, so that's really dope. The next person that we're going to introduce for our guest today is Tara, B-Girl Tara, all the way from NYC as well. Tara's her is true, and for me, Tara, like when I was coming up, it was important seeing her because the Black girl that I saw that was actually before me. So that's why I'm really glad to have her on this panel as well. So Tara, go ahead and introduce yourself.
What's up? So yeah, my name's Tara. I'm a native New Yorker as well. I'm from LES, but my family is from the Bronx. And I'm so New York that my sister went to school with Nemesis. How about that? Nemesis is like my dance cousin. Anyway, yeah, I'm a third generation club kid. So I be girl, but I'm saying third generation because my grandma used to go to parties too. My grandma used to Lindy. She used to go to Cotton Club and the Savoy Room. So for me, like I really feel the heritage of dance and our culture. And yeah, I feel like for me personally, I've come to the understanding that it's a sacred space, and I want it to continue to connect me to my ancestors because the Black experience in America had to do a lot with erasing our heritage, our connection to our roots. So I find that hip hop and breaking, all of that connects me to it, and also really uplifts me in a way that society has not been trying to. And what else did I want to say? I would really love for these conversations to continue and to really help improve the hip hop community and the way we approach gatherings and the culture. Because when I go to Lindy events, it's mostly white people. And, you know, that was my grandma's sacred space. And now it's become something where I rarely see any Black people. And I don't want breaking or hip hop to become like that. And yes, I remember the first time that I realized I was the only Black B-girl. I was at a jam and I had locks at the time, and my hair was like getting in the way. And I'm like, how do the other girls deal with this? And then I'm looking around like, everybody else has totally, nobody has hair like this Black girl. So, wow, I'm the only one here. And, you know, holy crap. So, yeah, I would love it if we could do more community building in the actual communities that created this culture and not just cater to guests and capitalism. And yeah, that's all I want to say for now.
Thank you.
And then hot, heavy, and strong. That's perfect right there. You know, I'm sure a lot of people heard that word guests, started feeling a little bit defensive, but it's all good. We're going to cover that a little bit later. You know, I definitely appreciate how, you know, you spoke on lineage and how this was like a traditional thing. This is how you connected with your people. You know, I feel like everybody on this panel, you know, shares that same ideology. And, you know, as of recently, we've all been trying to communicate that to people, but there's been pushback, and, you know, we're going to settle all that here today. You feel me? Like, there's going to be a wrap after that. So moving right along, next person we got on the list that we want to introduce, coming right out of Jersey, straight out of Jersey, my man, Rich Nice, repping TAC. Yeah, man, go ahead, Rich.
Yo, what's up, everybody? This is Rich Nice, also known as Richard Marshall. That's, you know, normally when I'm on Zoom, that's the name I have to use. It's my slave name. Anyway, but nah, so yeah, I've been repping Jersey a long time. I've been dancing about 17 years now. Yeah, I always keep it light, yo, because, you know, you always gotta keep it light. We need that in these times, for real, right? But yeah, man, I'm a jokester, but I'm also very serious. Everybody always call me the professor because I went to college. I went to college for engineering, actually. I don't do none of that now. I kind of dedicated my life to doing service work. I work with kids. I work in education. I work for my community, and that's what's important to me. Little known fact about me, I'm originally from the Bronx. My whole family is from New York. I'm from the Bronx, and I didn't move to Jersey until, you know, maybe elementary years, somewhere in there. I grew up on 1600 Cedric Avenue, right down the block from 1520 Cedric Avenue. So I didn't have a choice but to be hip hop. Like, I walked past that shit every day. I didn't even know it was called hip hop. That was just life. That's just what we was doing. You know what I mean? That was just part of what you do.
Yes.
Like, when, you know, it's awkward to me if people be like, you heard this new, you know, rap song, a hip hop song, or a James Brown song? Like, dude, yes. Like, I grew up on that. Like, and that goes back to the whole being a guest thing. You know what I mean? Like, stuff that y'all are just getting put up on that we been doing and started. But besides all that, I'm glad to be here with everybody today. I'm a really big community organizer, and when my peoples call me, I get with it. So, you know, let's get this work.
Let's get this work. That's right. You know what? I'm kind of annoyed that we have a bunch of New York enthusiasts in here. So
Get him, Mark.
Call the
Get him.
cops. Call the cops.
Oh no.
All jokes, all jokes. All right, so our next guest that we have on this panel is the girl Pep-C, straight out of Indiana, but who is also in Chicago right now.
Yeah, I was just kind of for a minute.
All right. So I'm really excited to have her on here. Especially again, it's multi-generational discussion. So I think being the generation after Black girls, something important to hear her voice as well and see what her experience is. What and what she can bring to the panel discussion for the discussion. So yeah, go ahead and introduce yourself.
All right, y'all. Hey, my name is Pep-C, Pep letter C. I am originally born in a small town in Indiana called Muncie and made my way to Indianapolis, Indiana, where I spent most of my adolescence years. I have a goal and I commit myself to valuing Black culture and dance, music, and all forms that it presents itself. So also in hair and tone and vernacular, all of those things. And the reason being is because when I was in high school and learning history, taking AP history classes and things like that, I noticed that a lot of our stories weren't being told in our school system, and I started asking questions. The answers I was getting kind of angered me because I would ask questions like, well, what were Black people doing during the Roaring '20s or in the Great Depression? And they would say stuff like, well, I'm sure they were around. And I would just be upset. So that was kind of my start to valuing our culture and the things that we produce and our contribution to American culture at large. And I went from being a practitioner of ballet and modern to being a heavy hip hop practitioner because that was something that was important to me.
Nice.
Yeah. That's it. That's me.
No, you're good. Yeah, I was muted. So I just appreciate the way that you spoke on academia and how there's a suppression of like actual facts and like things like that in academia. Like people don't know that that's like a part of the American dichotomy and like the Black experience here at home. So thank you for sharing that. Okay, moving along, we got my man, 1 out of 2. You feel me? They got the same face, but they ain't in the same place. You heard? My man Jared from the Elusives, repping the DMV area. Kojack, go ahead.
Yo, what's up? I'm Jared. B-boy Kojack coming out of DMV. Right now, I am living in Philly, down the street from Box. He never invited me over, so. So I actually got introduced to hip hop through my older brother. He just like played music. But Ryan and I used to skate a lot. We were born like in DC, but our parents moved out to Crofton in the suburbs. And they focused really hard about making a Black community for us. So we just had a lot of family come through. Yeah, and so pretty much like we had to find hip hop, like we had to go searching for it. And we used to skate a lot. Ended up getting tired of getting the police called on us and everything. So in our own neighborhood, because, we were the only Black kids. So it ended up just finding breaking and then being like, damn, this feels like home, like, there's all this, the music, the vibe, the feeling, a lot of stuff that was introduced in my own household just like was in the culture. So it was like, oh, this feels nice. And then, that was pretty much it. It's like, yo, there's like, it felt like a community, like our crewmate, me, Ryan, and Church were tight because we're like the only Black kids. And it was actually kind of crazy when we started like coming up a little bit. Everybody was like, yo, that's the Black crew. We had 3 Black guys on our crew. We were the Black crew in the DMV area. So it's like, that's nuts. But that is what it is. Yeah.
Word. Wait, so how did you feel when people would say that's the Black crew?
Honestly, I felt proud. You know, it's like we were the only Black people repping, and we had a different vibe, a different feel from everybody else. Like everybody knew we was like the squad. Like they were like, yo, we weren't the dopest at the time, but it was like nobody could deny the essence. And that's, I mean, there's a reason why we're still around and they're not. You know what I mean? It's like because this stuff feels like home. You know, that's the it's weird for me. Like my parents were very political. Like my mom's a lawyer, my dad's a cop. So we learned a lot about like Black culture and how politics affect Black people. And so learning about breaking was also learning Black culture. So to hear people try and segregate that and like take the politics out of hip hop when hip hop is a direct response to the oppression that people were facing in the New York area, it's very crazy to me, because it's like if you look at Black history throughout history, it's like every Black movement, like music, dance, everything is a response to an oppression, and this is us expressing the way that we feel. And then for people to be like, oh, but I really like the moves, I really like the fashion, like the fact, like, you know, even graffiti, it's like people were wearing baggy clothes so they could steal graffiti cans out of like the shops, you know? And it's like, oh, but I like baggy clothes. And it's like, there's a reason for that. Everything has a reason, you know? Mm-hmm. So don't separate Blackness from Black culture, because you miss the point, you know what I mean?
Yeah, for sure. Thank you so much for weighing in on that a little bit more. I appreciate it very much. I think what the next guest that I'm about to introduce, do you just want to repeat everything your brother just said? But everybody, this is Ryan Elusis, obviously twin brother of Jared. But if you just want to, you know, give your little or give your point of view, and yeah, just introduce yourself, brother.
Hey, so I'm Ryan. Yeah, we used to skate a lot. No, but yeah, no, I mean, it's the same thing as Jared, so we don't really need to beat a dead horse. Nice to meet y'all.
All right. Yo, this is the kind of energy I wanted from this panel. This is perfect. You know, there's a fellowship here, there's a kinship. Yeah, I do. Like Macca said, I like to highlight the fact that he said, like, you know, they're the Black crew. You know, like people are trying to ostracize them as like they're the outsider, when in actuality, like, you know, they have more right to this than anybody, you know? And that's not just like that's a fact, and I'm not really going to backpedal on that. So, yeah, moving right along. Next person we're going to introduce is somebody who, to me, is new to the scene, you know, but he's made a direct impact immediately as soon as he came through. You know, he's the co-founder of the Make History Jam, which is still the best jam on the planet. You know, this is the only, I say it's the best jam on the planet because in my last 11 years of breaking, which is basically my whole career, it was the only jam where it was more packed after the final than it was when they opened. So for me, that constitutes a good event. You know, everybody enjoyed themselves. Everybody had a great time. You know, the battles were fire. I did an exhibition. It was crazy. You know, you should watch that, John. You feel me? But yeah, we're going to introduce my man, Swirv. Swirv, go ahead. Talk to the people.
Appreciate it. As Box said, my name is Swirv. And I've been in the breaking scene actually for close to 12 years right now. But I got my start on the West Coast. I started dancing in my third year of university. So I came into the scene as an adult, closer to an adult age. So I definitely had a different perspective coming in. But just to say, I was born in Long Island, New York, in more of a low income Black community. But then fifth grade, I moved to outside of Philadelphia, the suburbs, into more a affluent white community because my parents wanted me and my brother to get a better education. I only actually realized how much of a difference that education was when I transferred in my senior year to a boarding school in Orlando, Florida, with, again, all Black and Spanish kids. And I was able to get a 4.2 GPA without even trying, because I was getting taught at a 9th grade level. So it was a big disparity that I started to see between our communities, and it was just annoying to that effect. So I came after that, and I came to Cali, went to university, started breaking in my university's b-boy club. I was invited to dance out there, and this changed my whole life perspective. I graduated with a business degree in entrepreneurship, econ admin, and minored in Japanese. Then I spent 3 years teaching English in Korea. And then I spent a year traveling, backpacking the world, going to breaking jams all over the world in South America, Southeast Asia, and Europe. I wanted to really live the full b-boy experience, breaking experience. And I've done everything from competitions to street performing and the Hollywood industry. Just wanted to get a taste of everything from it. But I always wanted to use my education and in order to help the community and give back. And so teaching people how to travel for cheap or free, and also, of course, our Make History Jam is something that has allowed me to get more connected to the community that has given basically my life to me. So that's fine.
That's beautiful. That's beautiful. Yo, like, I mean, there's no lies told when Box says that, you know, the jam is the best, Make History is like the best jam on the planet. Like, it was really something that just felt truly good within your soul, you know, just being there and participating. And I'm excited for next year when that will happen. So thank you for that, Swirv, for real. All right, y'all. Well, you know, we have last but not least, the man, 100 grand, the guy who's too fly. No, I'm just gonna stop here. But we have my brother straight out of Oakland, who's now in, I don't know, are you back in London? Or are you still in France right now?
I'm in France right now. I'll go back to London, back to UK. Back there tomorrow morning. Yeah.
Well, if you don't know, if you haven't recognized him by the voice right now, but we have Machine in the building today on this panel as well. So we're really excited to have you on here. Rock Force crew, of course. And yeah, Machine, I mean, you know, go ahead and give your introduction, brother.
Thank you so much. Just first and foremost to everybody that's here. Thank y'all for being here. Thank you, Macca, for the introduction. Yes, I'm B-Boy Machine. I am from California. All right, I'm from the West Coast, probably one of the other ones that's in here. But I would say I've been dancing since 1993. I love hip hop. I am hip hop. You know what I'm saying? It flows through me. My first, just to give you some background, my first album, which was my brother, me and his first album was LL Cool J, I'm Bad. Just as how far as back we go. My dad was a singer. My mother was a rebel. My mother burnt the American flag on the Memphis steps in Memphis during her rebel time. My mother was a Muslim at a time, back when it wasn't nice to be a Muslim, where everybody looked at you weird for being a Muslim. I am Muslim myself. This thing, hip hop, I just want to say before we jump into this is something that's been embedded into us, just like from New York, coming from Oakland, coming from Sacramento. I feel like that was the West Coast New York. You know, we had our own style, we had our own way of talking, we had our own language, we had our own dress style, everything. You know what I'm saying? And it was something that we was grown and something that we learned from the East Coast, but we made it our own thing and everything. And we didn't feel like we were guests. We just felt like we was adding on to what was need to be done. So I've been dancing. I've been around almost more than 30 some years now in this game. So I've seen a lot come. I've seen a lot go. I've seen a lot happen in this scene. So short and sweet.
Thank you,
Word
Michelle.
up. Yeah, man, it's a legend in the building right here. You know, again, speaking on all facts, you know, in Philadelphia, there's a big Islam community, you know, a lot of Muslims, things like that. You know, this is kind of off topic, but like, I just feel like we should address something that relates to that. Like, think about the trend of big beards, you know, nowadays. I remember back in the day where people were denied employment because they had a beard, because of their religious belief. You know, it was a way to discriminate, you know, against them. And now it's a big trend. Same thing with tattoos, you know. Like I said, that's neither here nor there, but, you know, I just wanted to kind of address that, you know, the system of white supremacy, which, you know, but it also serves as a great segue to our first topic, which is, you know, Macca, if you want to introduce.
Yes, absolutely. So again, thank you so much for all of our guests for their introductions and just giving their perspectives and reasonings on why they are joining us today. So we want to go ahead and get into the topics. So our first topic that we actually have is hip hop's birth out of white supremacy. So I mean, I just would like to, you know, touch on with all of you, you know, what your idea is around that in terms of hip hop's birth out of white supremacy. So, I mean, we know generally, you know, since hip hop as we know it, you know, like we can go down the road of hip hop in itself, you know, how it was birthed or where it was birthed at and all that good stuff. But as we know it generally in terms of New York, but even also how Machine was speaking on that, you know, Oakland being the west coast of New York, you know, all of these areas are within times or during that time where poverty was heavily within those areas, right? So in poverty, in terms of like neighborhoods being deprived of resources to be able to, you know, strive, quote unquote. But then we also have the fact that from that pain or from the time of being deprived of those things, you know, we also have obviously hip hop that came out of that. That's freaking $1 billion, you know, $1 billion enterprise and experience in terms of how people are making money off of it in terms of rap music and, you know, and also, you know, the culture and all that stuff, you know? So, but that's not what the idea was, because it was in a time where, you know, where it was more so the idea of not to have a people really be able to become somebody, you know? So I just want to hear what all of you or any of you who want to speak up. I think I saw Nemesis that wanted to say something. And I just wanted to see what you guys have to say about that.
I think we got 3 minutes. So basically, I'm going to try to go really quickly. So coming from the Bronx as the actual birthplace, I myself take like good pride in what I do, like on my time, which is I do a lot of history, I do a lot of reading, and I do a lot of investigating in sociology just to figure out all these different connections with my culture and how it pertains to other things and other places. Now, particularly in New York City during the time of, I want to say, the late 40s and 50s. In that time, the Bronx was predominantly a Jewish, Italian, Irish kind of area, you know what I mean? But during what we call the migration from the South up, you know, north from Blacks coming from the South, they started to, you know, fill these places. And Bronx being one of the poorest boroughs, they went into the Bronx. This was around that time, right? And then, you know, a lot of homeowners, I would like to say, like all these people who own all of these places, you know, they didn't want to be around, you know, these people who were moving into their neighborhoods at the time like this in these great numbers. So what they did was, you know, everybody's heard of redlining, right? So obviously you can corner off certain parts of the neighborhood and say this area is this and this one is that. And this is all for political reasons. But then also what they started to do, they began construction on what is called in our city is the Cross Bronx Expressway, which is I-95 North, which goes from Florida all the way north, all the way through New York. It passes through the Bronx. That cut the Bronx in half from north and south, right? Now you got all these different passageways through there, and then you could start designating different parts of the neighborhood and redlining each part of it, right? And then from that, the real estate owners and developers and everybody who owned buildings and things like that started to burn down their own buildings so that they can collect money, their insurance. And then there is something we call in New York City called white flight. Now, white flight was a certain time between the late, I want to say the mid 60s through the 70s, maybe even earlier, when white people started to migrate out of New York City, but not just New York City, all the cities around the United States, all right? Because you had an influx of Blacks moving into the city for better jobs, better opportunities, less racism, and all of these things. So once they started to move out of New York, collect the insurance money, this would made the Bronx look like a hellhole pretty much, because you've got these people living here. They're not homeowners, you know what I'm saying, like that. They're renters, you know what I mean? So they kept renting to whomever, whichever building was up. All these buildings that were destroyed and burnt down is pretty crazy, you know what I mean? So then this is where you start to see the impoverished part, because then now the city, if you don't know it, during this time started to be bankrupt. And then all the programs, once the city's bankrupt, the first thing they do is take from education, so all the programs started dying and things like that. So people had nowhere to go. You got gangs and things like that, running the streets and things like that. And then from this, like you said hip hop came out of it, right? Because you had all of these things going on outside, but then, Herc would throw his parties, and then inside, you had to just enjoy yourself and enjoy in this kind of festive thing that he was doing. And it's funny because, my job, what I've been doing as of lately is getting in touch with these really first generation B-boys that nobody knows and hasn't met yet. And from what they've been teaching me is like, even though the gangs were outside, you couldn't be a gang and wear colors inside of Herc's establishments or parties and things like that, So this kind of gave a slight basis and nurtured the growth of what hip hop is going to become, because it didn't have a chance to experience that violent point in its very essence or inception. So this idea slightly of when people talk about hip hop came out of gangs and all of that shit is like, that's too far. You know what I'm saying? Outside, maybe you was doing some shit, but inside where it was actually happening in its inception, there was no gang activity or bad shit being done. So I just wanted to touch on that and talk about, the point of white supremacy and then the birth of hip hop. You know what I'm saying? It's just like, evolution or adaptation to your situation. And that's basically what happened. You know what I mean? Because if you go by the area where 1520 is, it's highways. The I-95 is right above it and it passes right through it. You know what I'm saying? So right there at the bottom of it is buildings, because people never went to that far on the west side of the Bronx like that, because the water is right there. You know what I mean? And nobody wants to really like go way over there. You know what I mean? So it was a perfect place to have something jump off where it wouldn't be people like, really messing shit up like that.
Yeah. I appreciate that. Thank you so much for that insight, Nem, for real. I think, Rich, you wanted to touch on that as well?
Yeah, just to piggyback off of what he was the last part. So he went a lot into the past and about the background info on it. But the important part to me is the white supremacy part and the evolution, and how every time Black people are going through these situations, we flip it, right? We do what we can. So we always take something and birth products out of it, blues, jazz, funk, soul, and then now there was hip hop. And then when we make all these things and we're creating and things like that, these people were being oppressed. They had all these energy as a bunch of young people. And yeah, like he said, there's the gangs, but those those parties or jams or whatever you want to call them at those times, mind you, they didn't have names for all these things. They were just doing stuff. This was just life. You know what I mean? Like, this is how people live. Nobody was calling it. They didn't even name it hip hop when they had that first party. You know what I mean? That kind of came later. The same with breaking and breakdancing, and we can get into that in another conversation. But as far as these people having all this energy and doing something constructive with it, the same kind of thing that's going on right now. There's people in the streets. There's all these young people with all this energy, and that's every time Black people have created something beautiful out of it. Every time we always flip it. We always persevere, and then years later they'd be like, oh well, hip hop was this from gangs and this and that. Like I hate hearing that personally. I hate hearing like, oh, they were all gang members and stick up kids and all of this stuff. Was like, you went from a long way from just being a dancer who dresses funny, because they dress funny as a mug, right? And gang members, stick up kids, like hardcore, stone cold. Nobody had no money for a motorcycle. What are you talking about? You know what I mean? Nobody was allowed in the clubs. Nobody was going down to Manhattan. It was in the Bronx. You know what I mean? Like, they wasn't even allowed to have these kind of spaces. Nobody was landing in studios. You know what I mean? So all of this adds to the supremacy part. As Nem was saying, as they're doing the redlining and the projects and, the high-rise building, abandoned buildings and all of this, they had to build their haven. And that's kind of what hip hop has always been to me personally. And when I teach, I also teach it. It's like, this is, a safe space or a brave space, as we call it now, because you also need courage to be your truest self. And that's what we do. So that's my little spiel on that.
Nice.
Can I add something really quick? I just wanted to add, like, just on a really like personal level, like, we're treated like a certain way because of the color of our skin. Like, it's seen as not acceptable. Our hair is seen as not acceptable or not professional. And like Swirv mentioned before, our schools are not funded properly, and the education that was being provided was not even a good education. It was more programming us to not value our contributions to world civilization and culture, but just as either we were just slaves or, and luckily, Abraham Lincoln saved us. So it was just, I'm just saying, like, it's a lot of programming and it's very systemic. It's like not just in terms of politics, urban planning. It's also like on a deeper level, like just programming you to feel like you're worthless compared to, whoever's more white adjacent than you. And I agree with what Rich said, that, yeah, we create havens for ourselves, or we can be ourselves without anyone hating on us, without anyone devaluing any part of our physical features, the way we speak. And then because we create these environments where we can fellowship together and love ourselves together, that's how we are able to blossom. And that's why everybody else wants to be down, because it's really beautiful. So that, I just wanted to say that, and I'm ready to pass the mic.
Thank you, Tara. Pep, I think you have something to say.
Yeah, I just wanted to just add in and contribute to what everyone was saying about white supremacy creating the conditions that we live in for us to have to turn around and then create basically a vaccine for it, or a remedy for healing, or a strategy for uplifting ourselves and being, first of all, responsible for uplifting ourselves after all of these systemic racism and white supremacist programs are put in place, and hip hop being a tool to fight against those things within the culture, not necessarily being something that was in the genesis of it, thought of like a phrase of being like, we're doing this because we are resisting, but that's just a natural inclination for Black people to resist, because we have to live. We don't want to live in fear. We don't want to live not in fear of each other or in fear of society or anything like that. So artists are basically our avenue to not only speak and be heard, but to also keep tradition as well, and to live life, to not just escaping either, because hip hop has not always been a way that people choose to escape those problems. Some people pour those issues into the culture to be something to be talked about. And this is a perfect example of that. As hip hop practitioners, a time like this being seen and being heard, and using hip hop and its history as a tool, as a weapon against white supremacy, as I feel like it's always been like that. Even if some people, they don't feel like, oh, it's never been a thing of fighting for this or fighting for that, or consciously fighting against white supremacy. But that's living and being Black and valuing our lives is an act of resistance, period, point blank. So when we create things and we speak our piece and we use our voice, we are resisting. It's an act of protest. It is activism. So hip hop being that, just existing, period, not even like a conscious effort to make it that way, is a resistance to white supremacy. And then when we intentionally apply that pressure to make it so, it becomes a tool and a weapon even more so.
Thank you. Yes, I appreciate it. Yeah, thank you all for weighing in on that first question that we had. Hip hop birth out of white supremacy. So, anybody that's for anybody that's on YouTube checking in, you are able to ask questions. So if you are able to type it into the chat box if you want to ask any questions specifically on the topic. Go ahead and do that. And then once we are done with all the panelists in terms of answering the questions, we'll go ahead and check out any of the questions that you have in the chat box, and then we'll go ahead and ask. We'll choose like 3 questions to ask. So I know we just told you about that, but we'll go ahead and do it starting for the next question, or the next topic rather. But thank you all for like speaking on this specific topic, so, and it's really important to hear like the birth out of it, also, where we're at now and how we can, like Tara was pointing out, like in embracing who we are, like Pep was pointing out, fighting, through that white supremacy. And then Nem and Rich were pointing out, the birth of it and how it came about through white supremacy. So all of those are really, really important. And I hope you all are taking this information in as well. So Ben, if you want to go ahead and give the next
Yeah, I hear using my slave name. Get it, Rich. Using my slave name. So I'll tell you, my name Benjamin. My name ain't no slave name. You heard? Come on. Talk about it. Well, yeah, so I like the idea of, hip hop birth out of white supremacy. And I feel like, again, it's a perfect segue into the next topic, which is something I want to talk about, which is the actual war on Black people, systemically through government policy and through agendas. You understand what I'm saying? So now I feel like in light of the current times, we can all talk about police brutality, but then we have to address the system itself and bring attention and highlight the actual policies that are in place that continue and perpetuate the system that we live in. Things like redlining, understanding that the president put crack in our neighborhoods. You know what I'm saying? Like our leader, like that's a real thing. Around the world that might not be known, but in our communities, like growing up, we all knew this. Understanding what that did to our neighborhoods, understanding what in low-income communities. Exactly. Low-income communities, which are basically Black communities with people of color sprinkled in. They do not have access to fresh produce, or actual food. It's all chips, it's all candy, it's all soda, within a 5-mile radius, and these are all by design. You feel me? So yeah, I just feel like it's really important for us to educate. Like it's one thing to just acknowledge something, but we need to educate so that we can have, allies in this movement moving forward so that we can actually change things, So I'll open that up to anybody who wants to speak on that topic. Now you're muted, I can't hear you.
What was the question?
Yeah. Hold up. I'll take this one.
Rolling your eyes.
I got it. So this speaks to like a lot broader things, but I feel like at least half of us in this room are products of redlining, and whether directly or indirectly. Like like Jared said, when we started, our family is from DC. I was born in DC, but I was raised in Crofton, Maryland. Like, people hear Crofton and they think, oh, that must be a lot of black people, because they see me, they see my brother, they see two black guys. They're like, yo, it's a black place. Sounds like Compton. All white people. We were like the only black folks in our area. And it's like, the thing is, people don't understand, when you're living in an area where there's like so many black people, a lot of times you're subjected to redlining. You're put in areas where you don't have access to, you're stuck in these food deserts, you're stuck in all these places. Now, we were like in a decent place in DC, but you either had to pay a crap ton of money to get into a private school, or you would move your children to a place to give them a chance for a better future. But by doing that, you actually alienate them from their own community. Like, in order for our family to have us even around black people, they would have to constantly throw parties at our house to bring people out from DC, to bring people out from like Pennsylvania or like Baltimore or wherever. It's like the only reason we were around black people is because there was so much effort put into place to make that happen. Like Jared said before, Coleman, our crewmate church, like, he's one of the only black dudes that I've known since middle school. Because before that, there was maybe 5 of us. I think in our middle school, there was like 7 of us. Like, only 7 of us in our entire grade. So, and what a lot of people don't really recognize is, like, other minorities are also raised within some of the same communities, but they don't recognize the struggles that black people have in comparison. Like, yo, like, I love y'all, but y'all ain't never had to deal with like COINTELPRO. Like, the government is not creating organizations strictly to the disenfranchised black, like, other people. They do that for black people. Now, they might do it on a smaller scale, that of which I'm not privy to, but it's like, yo, you look at all these like reports and they talk about, oh yeah, we made weed and crack cocaine and like put that into the communities in order to disenfranchise and make the public hate these people. But yeah, it's a whole thing, but I yield my time.
All right, moving forward, I like everything you said. We're going to pass it off to the person who shares your face, and that is Jared.
Yeah, just kind of piggybacking off of all that. You know, it's also like the whole culture of erasure. Like, you know, when slaves were brought to America, they split up African communities. They put them all together. They mixed and matched. So they had to build up from the very beginning. You know, it's like, okay, we're going to make it so that you don't have a community. And it's like, that's the history of America, is making sure that black people don't have a community that they can rely on, whether it be through like the crack epidemic or whether it be through redlining, Jim Crow. It's like everything on every single level of history. When you reach a new era, there's a new system that's put in place to kind of just like throw everything off. And even if you look at hip hop right now, it's like, that's the whole, I don't want to get into like the whole guest thing early, but that's the whole thing right now, is people are trying to erase black people from hip hop history. It's like, okay, first, like, hip hop is known as this terrible thing in the mainstream community, and they want to like make it extra bad, which is why they started promoting these ideas of, oh, okay, yeah, it's about gang violence. Oh, it's about drugs. And like, those are the things that are shared. But when hip hop first started, and when like, you know, all these black forms of music were starting, it wasn't about fighting anybody. You know what I mean? Negro spirituals weren't fighting anybody. They were uplifting voices. Jazz music, blues, like all these things were uplifting voices and telling you about our woes. And if you listen to that, I know you guys have probably seen the Tupac video where he's like, oh, you know, you see that room and they're like, food. And he's like, yo, give me some food. Give me some food. And then Tupac like eventually turned into like, give me some food, I'm gonna bust down the door. And it's like, that's what hip hop turned into. It was like, fuck the police. It came from like this nice place of like, and the chicken tastes like wood, to I'm gonna put a gun to your head if you keep fucking us over. You know, it's like, that's a big difference. And it's like, that comes from that whole aspect of everybody, like, you know, trying to pull us out of it and take us away from it.
Nice. All right. Next person on the list, I believe, is Rich.
Yo, yeah. I wanna say something because I've been using that term war for a long time. That we're at war with police right now. It's it's public. It's a big thing. It's in headlines, but this war's been going on. You know what I mean? They've been trying to hold our people back and keep. The KKK is still alive and thriving. All right,
And
that's the best thing.
They and the cops.
And the cops. And to get into the whole police thing, so probably the most extreme idea that Rich has is I don't like police. I don't fuck with police. You could be cool, but if you a cop, you working for the wrong people because they work for certain laws that's not made for us. So you could be a good cop all you want to be. You got the best conscience in the world, but you still, at the end of the day, if your captain tell you got to arrest 20 people, you got to arrest 20 people. And that's just how it is. That's your boss. And you chose that profession. You know what I mean? So I don't fuck with cops. And as far as being in this war right now, it's just crazy because, they added body cams, they added rubber bullets, and it's like, that rubber bullets, you still shooting people. That ain't solving nothing. That really don't solve nothing. I use this extreme example and I'm gonna drop it here too. Using rubber bullets is like giving a rapist a condom. You know what I mean? It's like, you still do the shit, you know what I mean? But here, be careful. Like, it's fucked up. It's really fucked up what's going on right now. The police force was originated as slave catchers. It's like just the history of that. They've been catching black folks since. All right, if you really want to go back to it, they've been catching black folks since. And then I don't want to get into the whole institutionalized slavery of the prison system. You know what I mean? And then there's just all these systems that's built against us that other people don't get, that we deal with from the moment that we're born. Where we're literally born into it. It's not fair. I work with a lot of kids, and it's hard to tell them that they could be anything and they could do anything. And I know that there's these systems in place. So that's why I make sure that, I do everything I can to be in the front and lead by example and look like, I'm being the freest person that I could be. But we got to fight this fight, and it's a war, and that's real. So.
No, that was incredible. I appreciate everything you just shared, bro. For just as a point of reference for the people watching, look up the school to prison pipeline. Do your history on that. Understand why the prison industrial complex, these facilities are never below 95%. Why they're always feeding that machine, So that's just some information for y'all to look on. We're gonna pass it over to Pep-C.
Cool. All right. So, all right. If you're watching right now, get out a pen and paper real quick, because I just want to give y'all a couple of words, phrases, and policies to look up on your own, because ain't nobody got time to be talking about all of them. It's way too much since the beginning. All right. So I'm gonna just give y'all a couple of key things to look up, and I promise, as you research these, you're gonna find more. And as you start to learn about it, you need to start educating people around you so they can understand what this is implying on Black people's lives. So I'm gonna start let's start after the Reconstruction area, which is a famous area for Black people starting to get power in Congress and other governmental roles. As a result of that, they, in the South, started to give Black codes. Write down the word Black codes, 1865 to 1867. Then you have the Red Summer. Write that down, figure out what that's about. Red Summer, 1919. You got the Tulsa Race Massacre, also known as Massacre on Black Wall Street. Most of y'all probably know what that is. Write that down, Tulsa Race Massacre. Rosewood Massacre. Then you got the Jim Crow laws. Understand what that is. You got the Tuskegee Experiment. That's not a known one to some people. You might want to write that down. Then we've already mentioned things like redlining. That's very important to understanding why we have things like Black neighborhoods, why Black people have a hard time securing loans and getting mortgages and things like that. And that also plays into an important role why our school systems are underfunded, because that is a direct correlation of tax issues in our community and why we pay higher taxes but have lower property values. Then you have things like the GI Bill, which is something that was implemented after the World War so that veterans could have resources to get loans and buy houses and go to school and stuff like that. And the Black veterans that fought in the war, it actually disenfranchised them more. So figure out why the GI Bill of 1951 further widened the gap between white household incomes and Black household incomes. In 1971, President Nixon declared the war on drugs, and that was the start of our prison industrial complex. Figure out what that's about. This is close to home for our commentators from Philly. The MOVE organization bombing in 1972. Figure out what that's about. 1986, the Anti-Drug Abuse Act. It's on. It's going on and on and on. It's so much. I can't handle all of it. But real quick, while I got the airtime, I want to talk about the natural hair movement because I am a Black woman who has natural hair, and I want to just talk about how the healthcare system and certain products that are targeted towards Black women and Black hair has carcinogens and different chemicals that affect our hormones and reproductive system and things like that. It's going unnoticed. It's not talked about a lot, but this is the start and the beginning why you start seeing lots of Black women go natural. It wasn't just a conscious choice like, ooh, you know what I'm saying? I love my hair. It was more about our health and how we are treated in the healthcare system. Now, that's a big problem because it's not talked about that much, but we have people who are mocking the movement without understanding the implications of what is happening to Black women in the healthcare system and things like that. So I just want to let it be known that there are systems out there that are made directly to suppress Black people and keep us from getting ahead, from living a high quality lifestyle. And that's all I got to say. That's all I got to say.
Thank you, Pep-C.
All right, moving on. I think we were supposed to move on to Nemesis, or Nem, you seem like you tapping out, or do you still want to speak on the topic?
Oh, it's Tara, actually, but okay.
Oh, Tara. I apologize. Tara was riding so hard for Pep, I forgot. I thought they was a two woman tandem.
She was getting me upset. I was like, oh man, yeah. I just wanted to say really quick, I would recommend, and you already got the pen and paper out already, so just write down Black Power Mixtape, The 13th, and I Am Not Your Negro. Those are 3 documentaries that break down all of this stuff that we've been talking about. And if English is not your first language, I think you could get subtitles. But again, I'll repeat, it's Black Power Mixtape, The 13th, and I Am Not Your Negro, so that you can also, get the information in case you're too lazy to actually look up all the awesome gems that Pep-C shared. And Chris Rock does have a movie about Black hair. I can't remember the name of it, but again, my other crew, Mawu, we have a whole list of resources on our crew page. So, but definitely check out those films. And I can pass the mic now. That was all I wanted to say.
I think it's Good Hair. Good Hair, something like that, from Chris Rock's movie. Yeah, I think so. Sorry, go ahead, Box.
Oh, we're going to swing it right over to them. Go ahead.
Yeah, just to talk about policy, I think Pep-C went down the line of the list of all of these different issues that we face, or these crazy points in our timeline where it was just not so great. But I'm like a guy that never wants to rely on being the victim, if that makes sense, or see ourselves as victims of a lot of things. It's just that some circumstances we can't help, or we can help. And so I want to look at this as like, okay, these are some circumstances that we went through, and these are things that shouldn't have happened, but how do we change those things? We could point out problems consistently, and if problems consistently happen, then I think we have to look at ourselves as a community and say, why do we allow this to keep happening to ourselves? So for me, for if everybody the allies that are watching or who will watch and they want to look up those things, that's awesome and that's cool. But for me, I'm more interested in us trying to help not becoming victims anymore. You know what I mean? And one thing I want to point out is that there's policy, you know what I'm saying? Having people that represent us in office in these political arenas that will take care of the agendas that we need, you know what I mean? So when you do speak of all of these things and all of these issues that we face, or having or even if I just said having representation, it's not about having representation there and, we didn't necessarily pick that person to be representing us. When I say us having representation there, that means that us as a community have the money and the value as a community to pay that person to represent us. Because we have people that so-called represents the community, but we're not paying them. The bigger corporations are paying them to be there. You don't know that, you know what I'm saying? But they give the illusion that you picked this person to be there, but you didn't pick that person to be there to represent you, you know what I mean? So that's why all of these things constantly keep happening, This whole country is about money and value, you know what I mean? And if us as a people are not creating a certain sort of money and value within our own community, how can we add to the value of the whole United States itself? Like Ben said earlier, we're in impoverished areas and we're in a place where, there's not a lot of resources for, of the lowest level people in terms of their condition, So therefore, they're asking the government for money. So therefore, you're taking from the system as opposed to putting into the system, you know what I mean? And this is not to say that, we're kicking our own selves in the ass just like that, because I do think we're due, a certain amount of the word. I don't want to use the word reparations as of yet to convey what I'm trying to say, but we are due something because of the things that we went through constantly, you know what I mean? And do things because of the things that was done to us too over time. You know what I mean? So this is what I mean. I'm talking about when it pertains to policy. If you want policy, you actually have to have value so that you can pay people to put the policies that you need in play for your people. This is why you have the Chinatown all over the United States in every city. This is why you have a Little Italy. This is why you have. This is why you see a lot of Jewish communities. You don't see Jewish people talking about they want to be president because they got the fucking money.
That's a discussion of group economics, and I feel like that's for another panel maybe. Like when we're talking about that.
Just saying
I get how it all relates. You feel me? But then we also got the 3-minute rule, though.
I get it. You're right. I'm just saying it pertains to policy and what I'm trying to say. And so just to end right now on that is that if people want to see policy implemented where it's not affecting us as harshly, I think that's something that we would have to look into in terms of, creating value in our own community.
I hear that. Machine, wrap it up for us. You got to unmute.
I said, I think that one's already been pushed. My only thing, I just wanted to just bring awareness to some things that actually happened to more of our families, like our mothers and fathers, where a lot of stuff kind of stemmed from our generation, just Black families being pulled apart from trades. They took trading out of Black communities, trade schools from us to actually pay for certain things like welding, different things like that. Just trying to be fast about this. These families that actually were like this, for a lot of people that didn't know or people that don't know, because I know a lot of people in here from the education that I'm hearing in here. I know you already know about this stuff, so that's why you keep seeing me get hype on the phone, because I'm like, oh my God. But just to be on subject about this and be fast with it. Yeah, like I was saying, families that were paid like this were paying for politicians just for what you were talking about them. They were paying for other politicians, Black politicians, to be in this. So they started pulling the programs from the school because we were making so much money from those certain things at that time and moment. What that started to do was pull the mother and father from the homes and made one family homes with the mother to take care of 5 to 6 kids. Also impressed our fathers into prisons and to justice systems, basically red taping them, what we call red tape. All right. Just to give you just a couple backgrounds on that. But I just want to say, Pep-C, yo, the way you're clearing shit right now, I love it. I love this, like, for real, because it's a lot of people. I mean, it's one of the biggest things is as much as we need to be sitting here actually uplifting for what we do, we need to be informing people about this generation, these generations right now that don't know nothing about none of this. They don't get none of this. This is not being pushed in the school. I remember being kicked out of school because I wanted to learn about Malcolm X. I didn't want to learn about roots and getting my ass whooped in school because I know what that was. I already went through a neighborhood that was like that. So I used to get sent to the office because they wanted to show roots, and I was like, I'm not going to stand here and watch it. I already seen roots. My parents already showed me this. So I don't need to really know about this. And I don't need to be called a nigga in school and learn that this was something that was freely done. I got called a nigga all the time. I just wanted to talk on this because a couple of things got jumped around. I came from a school in Nebraska where I was the only black kid, the second, 2 only kids that was black. My brother called me last night. He stays in Conway, Arkansas. We went to a school called Valonia High School. My sister and him was the only 2 black kids. Okay, so yeah. I'm gonna just let this go and jump on to the next question. I just want to just inform on a few of these things. We've been jumping around in this, but I love it. I do love this, and we do need more of this, definitely, and everything. But Macca, go ahead, take it away to the next question, please.
Wait, can I interject real quick? Just going off of what Machine and both Pep-C are saying, there's just so many times, like over the past 2 weeks since this George Floyd situation has blown up, that I found out that so many people don't know stuff that we as Black people inherently know. Like the amount of times that somebody's going, yo, I didn't know that slavery was still actually allowed in the 14th Amendment after they abolished it. Like, I didn't know that was still allowed in prison systems. And I'm like, oh, y'all didn't learn this in school? Like, I mean, I ain't learned it in school either, but it's like, yo, all of us are very, like, well aware of this. And it's just crazy on such a large scale that things that we are so knowledgeable about or that we all know, like, nobody else really touches on if you're not Black. So.
Nice. Well, I appreciate everybody weighing in, especially Nem. You know, you had a lot to say. You ran over the time limit. I ain't want to have to jump down your throat, but, you know, we got other things coming down the pipeline. You're giving away the sauce before it's ready. You feel me? So, yeah, I'm going to pass it over to Macca. I'm going to let her introduce the next topic because, you know, she had spoken on this previously in another panel that she hosted with Stance, where she just gave you a how-to guide on how to do what you need to do, you know, and this is going to be everybody's favorite topic. So, Macca, if you will.
Yes. So, it's funny when I actually was looking at this topic, this is actually, I think, going to be more so a newer topic for me because my topic or my panel discussion was actually more so focused on allyship specifically. This one, we're actually talking about, you know, sideline soldiers and guests, you know, within hip hop. And more recently, it's been a hot topic, right? People have really been taking it personal, you know, for people that are not necessarily Black, that are, you know, practitioners of hip hop and have been for a very long time. And the fact that the word guest has been spoken about of being a guest within hip hop if you are not Black. Now it also has gone more so into the fact that, I seen somebody say, well, you know, technically, if you could break it down, if you're not Black and from New York, or if you're Black and not from New York, you're still a guest, So there's many different layers on how people are speaking onto the thought of what it means to be a guest, or like you said, sideline soldier specifically, within hip hop, within Black culture, period. So, and I've also have been noticing that people, the thought of being a guest is taken in a very negative way. It's taken in a sense like, oh, this is, how can I be a guest? I put so much into this. I put so much work into it. I've been part of this for like plus 15, 20 years, and it's not like my thing, or it's not who I am. I'm a guest now. Like, how dare somebody tell me that I'm a guest, I feel like for me, the thought of being a guest is not necessarily like, oh, this is not a part of me, but the thought of like, when I think of being a guest somewhere, I always think of coming from it as a respect point of view, like I'm a guest in this situation, so I'm not gonna take advantage of it. I'm gonna respect it. I'm gonna, put my best foot forward in that sense, and I'm gonna try to bring something positive to it because I'm thinking of being a guest, So like, if I'm going to my friend's house, I'm not just gonna, just like dirty up the place or whatever. Just like, like I'm being respectful, So yeah, but I want us just to talk about this, to touch on this thought process of what it means to be a guest and a sideline soldier within hip hop and Black, in the Black experience. So the first person who do we have first?
We're going to Rich. We're going to go to Rich first. The man with the dashiki. Tell them why they guess, Rich.
That's right, man. That's right. It's just real simple. As I think Box said one time on one of his videos that, as far as being a guest is like hip hop or even breaking, if you want to even narrow it down to that, is the cultural dance of Black people. You know what I mean? We created it. This is our cultural dance, just like people have cultural food. There's, music and all of this stuff. Hip hop music is cultural Black music. Black people sing about what Black people do and what they like and all of this stuff. You know what I mean? It's just real simple to understand. Like, I think, we had a conversation with them before that, if I'm learning Kung Fu, I'm a guest to that traditional art. You know what I mean? Like, to that traditional style. Like, no matter what I do, I was born over here. You know what I mean? And I had to learn from someone else. That wasn't my culture. I always use the example. There's some people that love yoga so much, they fly to motherfucking India. You know what I mean? Like, they fly, they, become vegans and do all kinds of other spiritual work just to be in more tune with the art of yoga. You know what I mean? And even then, you're still a guest. Like, even then. So I don't understand what's so hard about it to understand with hip hop and to be honest, it feels like, oh, it's because it's Black, and everything that's Black people take. You know what I mean? And that's just is offensive, to be honest. You know what I mean? Yeah, it's a little offensive. It's not disrespect to call somebody a guest. You know what I mean? I love Naruto. I got a damn, I see people with a damn Naruto headband wearing them the jams and stuff, looking all goofy. That don't make you Japanese. You know what I mean? That don't make, like, for real. That's real talk. You know what I mean? Like, this, for real, and it's just real simple. I use a lot of examples. I work with kids, so I'm always using relevant examples. But yeah, man, there's nothing wrong with being a guest. Welcome to our thing. Y'all should be glad that we welcome y'all in.
There's nothing wrong with being a guest, like you said. It's really interesting, how the offense that people take, with just the thought of being a guest, in a different culture. Tara, you want to weigh in on that?
Yes. I just wanted to say that, first of all, it's not just in like breaking, it's in general, like a lot of Black cultural things people are really excited about. They feel in the style. They want to be down, but like yeah, you're a guest. Like as a native New Yorker, I saw the evolution. I was there when they had the very first hip hop dance classes in New York at Broadway Dance Center, because there used to not be hip hop allowed in studios. Just like Michael Jackson was not on MTV. He was the one who got Black people on MTV. So there's a amount of work and action that we engage in just to have these things get to the level that they're at. And yeah, it's just like, just be a guest. You're down, you're fam, but like acknowledge that you have not gone through the struggles that we've gone through. And it's not just our generation, like Machine mentioned, this goes back, like our parents too went through mad stuff and our grandparents went through mad stuff. So it's not like just a simple like, oh, I saw this thing on TV and I liked it and then I wanted to try it. And then I found some workshops and I went to a jam. Like, it's not like that for us. So just acknowledging, one, the emotional labor and the generational trauma that we've endured just to create this awesome environment that for whatever reason called to you. Part one. And two, like, why wouldn't you be grateful? Why wouldn't you respect, like, wow, this thing that y'all were doing, it's given my life so much meaning. Now I dress like it. I like to talk like it. I've gotten a whole community of friends. I have a whole motivation for what to do with my life. Some of y'all making mad money. You know, you found your life partner and got kids. Like all these things that like our lifestyle has opened up for you. Like, why would you have any sort of disregard for our voice when we're telling you, okay, you're welcome, but you're a guest in our house? Period. Whether it's breaking, whether it's house, whether it's hip hop, whether it's voguing, whatever, whether it's Lindy, like just like acknowledge our work. Stop trying to deplete like or devalue our work, like, because then you're just emulating what we experience in society that tries to devalue our contributions and make us invisible and make it like we don't matter. So yeah, just put in that work. Like, be anti-racist, be anti-white supremacy with us, because that's the true intent of what we're doing anyway.
Yes, exactly. I appreciate that. And it's so interesting, like you said, you know, some people found life partners and, you know, like all kinds of stuff, you know. and you know, that's just really, it's really important to point out. Next person, Swirv. Yeah, tell us what you feel and think about this.
Right. I think there's the main issues we want to talk to people about why this is considered African-American culture. And not a lot of people, the main consensus that I've been hearing is maybe not everybody even agrees that this is actually African-American culture, that African-Americans created hip hop. First important thing is that, guys, African-Americans are simply that. We were brought over here through slavery. We have no connection to Africa, to our home continent. So we had to create a whole entire culture for ourselves here in America. We are separated. Many other cultures, you can still go back and know that even if you're fourth generation Mexican, you still probably got aunties, uncles, and people that you can still connect with. We created our own culture over here, and we've been doing that continuously. But we've also seen it continuously taken away from us through any kind of music that we've created, rock, jazz. It's continuously been taken from us. Anytime that we want to hold on to something and create our own new African-American culture in the United States, somebody comes along and uses it for their own benefit and profit and skews the lines. Now, a lot of B-boys are having a problem with being called guests because they're only focused on the breaking aspect of it. And it's not only breaking. Hip hop was a whole entire elements. They have 4 elements that are created together. And of course, we started in the 70s. They're only relating to the OG breakers that did come in, but the idea came from a Black mind. Hip hop is a manifestation of multiple environments and multiple influences. Black Americans, we looked at Kung Fu films for breaking, etc. We took influences from many different things. And of course, the 70s era with funk music, the reason that it was changed into hip hop is because we mixed and mashed things and created our own from what already existed, and we made something new. The same thing as you hear in rap. How many times have you heard a sample on Kanye West's new track or any kind of hip hop track? That's exactly what we do. We took it and we made it ours. We took things from the past and we created something new for ourselves. So yes, African Americans had the idea. Latino Americans came in right after the idea was created. We're not disputing that for breaking that. That Latin Americans in the Bronx came in and helped out. But the idea, the base formula came from African Americans. Talking about people who are sideline, who are on the side, not actually helping out, talking about it. This is very important because if you are in something that you have culture, and I call you my brother, we all have crews, etc. And I say, yo, you got my back in battle, you got my back, and you act like my friend, and you come into my house and you eat my food and we build together. But then you see me getting punched in the face, you see me getting kicked out in the street, you don't got my back. That's a problem. That's why we call you a sideliner and you just staying on the side and you're not helping us. This is why we need your help. We don't need you arguing about who did this or what. Just if you call me my brother, you call me your sister, yo, come and help us out. I yield my time.
Okay.
With the fire. You done cut the cast off.
That I yield my time.
Right now. Yeah, so let's go to Nem, short and sweet, big dog. Love you to death, but you're getting on my nerves.
Sir, sir, watch your tone, all right? Don't try to house me, right? Trying to, I think Swirv touched on a lot of the things that I was gonna speak about anyway, but just to give a nuance, because I'm actually still in the Bronx and raised here, and I want everybody to understand that, and I probably said this to some of you already, but I'm not sure. New York and the Bronx, New York City and the Bronx specifically is an anomaly in a way. And why do I say that? I say that because you have Latinos here, specifically Dominicans, Puerto Ricans, Cubans, specifically. These are what's in our environment here in New York City as Latinos, right? They're not segregated or separated in different neighborhoods here. You got Blacks and Latinos in the same neighborhoods here. I've traveled this country. Everywhere I went, Latinos are separated, have separate neighborhoods. You know what I'm saying? So for them or for certain other people, when you might, and this goes into the N-word thing a little bit, but for us here, when we are together, we go to the same schools. We shop at the same stores. We live in the same buildings. You know what I'm saying? My sister might date this dude's brother or whatever this case may be. Everybody's in here in the same place, Blacks and Latinos. But when I've traveled the US, I've seen, a Latino neighborhood over here or a Black neighborhood over here or anything like that. You know what I'm saying? So in that, I see the divide in a sense. You know what I'm saying? So here is why I say this place is very different when it comes to this. And this is why you might hear a Latino person say the N-word. You know what I'm saying? Because he feels in solidarity, he or she feels in solidarity with us as Blacks. Because when the cop said, "Get out the car, nigger," he wasn't just talking to the Black person. He's talking to the Latino person as well sometimes. But we're talking about here, you know what I'm saying, in New York. So this is why we embrace that at the same time. Now, as for hip hop in its very inception and being created, yes, it is a Black thought coming from, and when I say a Black thought, nobody knew what this really was going to become. And this is not a shameless plug, but I encourage y'all to check out my interview with Dancing Doug, who was there from the very beginning. And he could give you a play-by-play breakdown actually to what happened. Go check that out on my page. That interview was really dope. And it will give you an exact breakdown as to what was happening. And he broke it down from 1971 to the time that they actually went to Herc's first party to 1973, and to actually when he stopped breaking and stopped going to Herc's parties in 1976. Okay, so that will give you a very good understanding of how the transition made its way. Now, this is why I say if you are a guest in this in this culture, that means that you don't fuck with me outside of this. If you don't fuck with me outside of the dance, you are a guest in hip hop culture. That means that if you only do this, you only know me because we dance and you take part in the dance aspect, but you're not really living this. You know what I'm saying? When you go home, you could be a part of this culture and that culture that you're from. When I go home, I'm still a part of this. There is no breaking away from this. You understand what I'm saying? So if you could go home and not be a part of this and experience something else, you are a guest. If you go home and in your house, your mom's is playing, is playing James Brown, is playing Gladys Knight, is playing Sly and Family Stone, is playing all of these things. These things which, brought this forward, you're not a guest. You know what I'm saying? Because you understand what this is. You know what I mean? But like I said, if the only reason why you really in this is because of the dance, and you really don't fuck with nobody like that outside of it because of that, you are a guest. That's basically how I gotta break it down. You know what I'm saying? My Latino brothers and sisters that I grow up with here in New York City, they got no choice because this shit is a part of them. It's changed even the Spanish that they actually use and the way they speak because they grew up in a hip hop atmosphere here. You know what I'm saying? So this is why this place, New York City, the Bronx, Brooklyn, Queens, all the boroughs, is very as a nuance, and it's very specific. It's not like anywhere else in the other cities where you have a segregated Latino neighborhood. You know what I'm saying? If you have a segregated Latino neighborhood, right, and your homie who's black or whatever he may be, he can't go over there, you know what I'm saying, to chill with you because it's not okay. You know what I'm saying? But on that side, y'all listen to hip hop music, but you don't fuck with the people. You know what I'm trying to say? So therefore, you are a guest. I yield my time.
You was already over your time. You ain't got no time to yield, boy. Get out of here. Anyway, we're going to move on to Ryan. Ryan, bring us home, wrap it up for us.
Yo, so, everybody's already said pretty much what I was going to say. So, the only thing I'll say about that is we do have to be careful about telling people that they not guests because they listen to James Brown, because then you're going to have some white boy that his parents had him raised on James Brown. He like, yo, I ain't a guest no more. I'm like, now wait a minute. But true.
You know what I meant, though. You know what I meant. It's not like you go home, you just listen to the music or whatever the case. I'm saying that you are immersed in this. You know what I'm saying?
No, I feel you.
This is it. You know what I mean?
Look, I understand, but people are watching.
Yeah, I got it.
But
you gotta watch
it. But what I'm gonna say, I'm gonna just everybody already said it, so I'm gonna just wrap it up in a nice little box.
Can I please say something?
Yeah,
after you,
ahead.
Ryan.
Go ahead. Okay.
No, go ahead, Ryan.
I'll finish this up real quick. But basically, we'll go back to the home analogy, right? People understand stuff a lot better if you talk about it like a house. So hip hop is the house that we built. Like Latinx and all of them, they were there. Like they were there when the house was being built. They might have helped paint the walls, bring some bricks, whatever, but it's still our home. So at the end of the day, it's a guest is not a bad thing. You come to somebody's house and you a guest in somebody's house, that does not make you lesser than the homeowner. Like I was talking to somebody the other day and they were like, yo, well, Black people that weren't there at the very beginning, if you weren't one of the OGs, then you're technically a guest too. I'm like, nah, if that's my father's house, it's still my house. You know what I'm saying? So the way I look at it is like this. Just because, if we have a dinner or a potluck, just because you brought a dish to the table, you want to jam, you threw some competitions or any of that kind of stuff, just because you did that, don't mean you can put your feet on my couch. So take your fucking shoes off before you step inside. That's all I'm going to say real quick. And then the only other thing is
oh my God.
Yo. But
Bitch, don't wear those shoes in the house.
Yeah. I mean, and people like, Asian dudes understand that real quick. You step in an Asian dude's house with your shoes on, they get mad as hell. You call them a guest, and all of a sudden it's like, wait a minute. So it's a really weird thing over there. But then the other last thing is another reason why this is our home is this is literally our home. Like our home, Africa, like wherever we were from in Africa, that was dismantled the second we came here on the slave ships. We can't go back. Like everybody else, no matter what your culture is, if you are an immigrant, you are descended from anything other than chattel slavery, you can figure out you can figure out what language your family used to speak. Even if you only speak English, you can find a way back. That you can go, you've got your own house. Like once you leave, you got somewhere else to go. You might be sleeping on my couch, but you can always go home. You just don't feel like it. Like this is the only place we got, you know what I'm saying? Like this is what we got, which is why we're so protective of it. Like, this ain't even my real name. You know what I'm saying? Like Black people, how many Black people, their parents had to name them something so that you could get a job in the white world. You know what I'm saying? Like there's so many like even if you're Asian, you're Hispanic, you're Latinx, like anything like that, even if you're any of those things.
Sorry.
This is it. Even if you're any of those things, like
my Lord,
an American first name, you still got your last name that tells you where you're from. Like I can't tell you what my name would have been if my parents didn't have to worry about me getting a job. And now I yield my time. Go ahead, machine.
I'm just gonna keep it nice and sweet. I'm not gonna go super long or nothing like that. I've done interviews before. So, but I'm just gonna say this. Number one, you can't do just hip hop on the weekend. Okay? And the last one that I really want to say, the reason why we call you guests is because you don't know about the things that we've been sitting here talking about. And these are the things that we've been discussing in our houses for generations and generations and generations and generations. Before we even learned about education, we learned about the law. Before we learned about the system or anything like, we learned about the law. We learned about how to protect ourselves by going outside. Now, I don't know if everybody else in the world had to worry about like themselves like that, but that's what we had to deal with. This is the code. This is the Bible God gave us for our 400 years of being depressed and being pushed back. Hip hop was this thing that God gave us. He gave us this talent to dance, to count math, to read music, to read songs, to write, to learn how to do these things. Hip hop gave this to us in this multi-million, billion people kind of thing to have us be able to relate to each other. I relate to every one of you on this phone for these reasons, because we've all sat in these same seats, in these same shoes. And that's why we say that you are a guest. Until you can sit down and start telling about the oppression of your families and the things that's like, you are a guest here. Make up something new. But this is the thing that's going on here. And this is what's been pushing it. This is what's pushed us to make $1 billion industry. These stories, these oppressions has helped make us. That's all I wanted to say.
Beautiful. That's the way to end it, Machine. Thank you very much. Thank you everybody for weighing in on that, and the different points and views that you were coming from, like especially with Nem. That's, I think, something that's really different as well, that people don't really touch on much coming from that viewpoint. So yeah, thank you all. Ben, we have the next topic.
Macca, you're going to stop using my slave name for these people.
I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry.
Y'all see? If any of y'all follow me on Instagram, y'all seen that Black Panther picture I posted, and this is why me and her can't be that. She can't be my queen mother, because she don't even respect me when I'm in suit. When I'm in gear, she don't respect me.
Oh my gosh.
She's giving away my identity. All right. But this next topic, I'm sure will be a fun one for people, because we've all had experiences with this. And, it's the N-word, why you can't say it. So I'll start this one off because, you know, I think it's important that we talk about certain people's reactions. You understand, like as Black people, like, and how we're always responsible for everyone else's comfort. You get what I'm saying? Because if most people know me, I'm somebody who's known for having a short fuse and things like that. So throughout the years of my life, I've had to learn to control myself. So I told Macca yesterday, when we were prepping for this, a story. Like, you know, I was in Hong Kong judging an event, and I'm speaking to some of the people there, like some of the locals, and I'm just like, word, you know, getting to know the thing. There's this billboard there, and they're like, oh yeah, this is our friend, this is our guy. He's like a local rapper here, and he was the only Black guy in the billboard. So I said, okay, word, told him Black guy, I get that, but I'm familiar with that. So boom, and then she goes, yeah, he's also a rapper. He's got this song, Niggas and Such and Such. So immediately I just looked at her like, now of course we know as Black people, like usually that there's one protocol for that. But I'm like, all right, she's a young lady. I'm just like, first of all, like, dang. So me being like who I am, like, I could have turned that whole thing out. And I was just like, no, you know what? Cool. I just stopped speaking, just walked away, and then they kept trying to communicate with me, and I just looked at them like, you know, that was my chosen response because now I have to let you think about that. You feel me? There's not much I can do in that situation. And I feel like that speaks onto us being responsible for people's like comfort and well-being, and them not even knowing how they're offending us in those situations, you know, because they heard a hip hop song, they think it's just, oh, it's part of hip hop, it's part of the culture. Yeah, I mean, look, I turned my hat like this, you know, it's not really that. So I really want to hear what y'all got to say on this topic. I know there are plenty of people who've been waiting to go ham on this one. So first person up will do, is it Swirv?
Okay. So a lot of people really want to say the N-word and always ask, why can't I say the N-word? And always also ask why, if they can't say the N-word, why is it in our music? The N-word is something that obviously, if you know the history, if you're from Europe or anything, maybe you don't, maybe you didn't study it, but I also give a little bit of a pass, but then I educate, so I don't get heated right away. I'm always gonna let you guys know that white people use that as a slave term for Black people. And it was always the worst term that you can hear or feel. Black people reclaimed that word, the N-word, in order to contain the brotherhood and sisterhood and let each other know that, hey, we've been through together. We've been through all this together. That's why it's in our music. That's why it's in our culture. That's why we say it to each other. And it's so natural to say it to each other. If you're not in our culture, if you're not Black, there should be no real reason why you feel the burning need to say it. It is literally just your privilege talking. It's literally just you wanting to have that candy that the other kids are having, even if that kid only has one candy and you got 5. You know, like you guys are really just wanting to say something and feeling that nothing in the world should be off limits to you. I don't come into any kind of Latin culture and not say what I'm not supposed to say. Just because that we're all speaking English, and because you can understand everything, does not mean that you can say everything pertaining to each other. The same as there's certain people that I wouldn't say certain words to in other cultures if I'm not close enough to them. I'm not going to call somebody my bro if I just met them in a professional setting. There's certain things that you're going to keep from saying. So why do you feel the necessity to say it when we are telling you, hey, it doesn't make us feel good when you're talking about it to us. It doesn't make us feel great. And so many people are against it. It's in our music because our music is for us. It's for Black people. And when we put out hip hop, and just because it has been monetized and become a worldwide phenomenon, does not mean that the music is still being created for other cultures. It's being created for us. When NWA was talking about their experiences in the hood, all gangster rap, etc., they're talking about their real life experiences, and other Black people vibe with it because they actually understood and they came from that era. They felt that. So if you have not dealt with those experiences, or you don't have a history of family that has dealt with those experiences, you should not want to say it. You should stop yourself from saying it. And if you are a helper and a guest of our culture, and you actually want to teach other people about it and have love and passion for us, you'll stop your friends from saying it, and you will basically just have our backs in this and know where it comes from. That's it.
Word up. In the words of my man Rugrat from NYC, we dead in the word. The word is dead. You know what I'm saying? It has nothing but negative connotations. And y'all know I love to drop me some bombs. But you know, it's all about growth and it's all about being better. So I ain't put my hands on that little Hong Kong girl. But I digress. So anyway, we gonna move on to Jared. Go ahead, bro. Before I get in trouble.
Yeah, so just picking up, I mean, there's so much that can be said about it just in general. And I know Swirv can speak to this because I met him while I was out there in Korea. But, you know, when you go learn a language, like you have to learn about the culture, you know? When I learned Korean, I had to go learn about the culture and like learn what I can do and what I can't do. It's a respect thing. You know, when you learn martial arts, you learn what you can do and what you can't do. You know, when you learn like Taekwondo, you don't just learn about like the moves, you learn about everything. And it's like you learn about things that are disrespectful. And it's crazy to me that there is like a dichotomy. There's like two words that you can use in like every single language. One referring to black people, and then one referring to black people as nigga in like every single language. And my thing is like, one, if you want to say it so bad, I don't know why you didn't just say it in your native tongue. You know what I mean? Like you guys had that option. You didn't want to do that. You wanted to say what we said. And it's again, back with that whole idea of, oh, black people made it hot, so I want to do what black people do. And the second thing is the power dynamic. And this is like the funniest thing to me is like, no, it goes back to that Amy Cooper stuff where everybody's like, oh, that was so bad. But it's like, Amy Cooper was like, yo, you can't tell me what to do and this is your consequence. Have you ever told a white person that they can't say something? Have you ever seen white people react when you tell them you are not allowed to do this? That Amy Cooper stuff is that exact thing. Like when you tell any race as a black person, like from the lowest person on the totem pole, and there's black people across every single continent, there's black Latino people, there are black Filipinos. I went to the Philippines and I saw black Filipinos. Didn't know they exist because they don't get no coverage. But it's like black people are there in every country at the lowest totem pole. They got a negative connotation added to their descriptors. And it's like when that kind of person tells you you can't say something, all of a sudden everybody loses their mind. You know what I mean? And part of it is like, yeah, I heard you, Nim, when you were talking about like, oh, out in the Bronx, like, you know, our communities are mixed. And when cops refer to them like this, and that, it's like, bro, for real, like the N-word is a check that none of these other races can cash. You know what I mean? Like nobody else can cash it because at the end of the day, cross cultures, it's like, we still get it. I don't care if you black and you speak Spanish, you still black. You know what I mean? If you are black, like, and that's a discussion for the black community. You know what I mean? Like nobody else gets to weigh in on it. And I agree. Yeah. And I feel like, you know, that is something for us to discuss. And like when people are like, yo, like we gotta dead it, I'm cool with deading it. You know what I mean? I stopped saying it because I get tired of checking people that feel like they hear me say it and they want to come say it with me. It's not a community thing. It's not for you to say. It's like if it's up to me, like, you know what I mean? I don't even say it that much anymore. But I'm gonna let the topic go to somebody else because I'm sure everybody can speak on it. So I'm not gonna say yield because y'all some followers, but
all right, we're gonna swing this right around to Tara. Go ahead, bless the team.
So in terms of the N-word, yeah, I mean, there's definitely times I still say it. I don't say it a lot, but like when I'm around certain people, it comes kind of naturally, or it's just that I know other people who still use it and I understand that language because it's my language. And I also wanted to say, like, I hang out with a lot of queer, gay people, and I would never use the F word. Like, I don't even want to say it online, like, and I'm hoping y'all know what F word I'm talking about, but even if I'm so down with them, I would never say that word. Like, I don't feel comfortable using that derogatory term, partially because I don't know what their struggle is like, all the stuff that they go through in their particular circumstance. And also it just sounds weird and feels weird. Secondly, it's mad disrespectful. Secondly, I just want to say, like, I've also gotten pissed because if you're someone, like, you got to dig in the crates of your family tree to be like, yo, I can say the word nigga because, like, my grandma is actually Colombian. I'm not full out white. Like, no, if you really got to explain why you should be allowed to say it, then you definitely shouldn't be saying it. I mean, just don't say it. Just stop being disrespectful. Doesn't make you cool. And yeah, like, sorry, y'all lost that one thing. I'm sorry. Like, let us just have this one thing that we're working out within our own community that doesn't even have anything to do with you. So yeah, that's all I wanted to say. Like, especially because I know someone who really was like digging in the crates. Like, yeah, I did my 23andMe, and I know somewhere in there's some blackness, so I'm allowed to say nigga too. And it's like, no, you're not. With your white privilege, get out of here. All right, I'm passing the mic.
Yo, the 23andMe, that was hard. Bangs with it. I think we got Machine next up. You seem like you brewing over there. You ready to go? I seen the
Nah, it's not even that, man. It's not even a brew. It's just like, come on, man. Like, seriously, I just want people to wake up to some things. Like, and I'm just gonna say this. I'm gonna just be totally blunt about it. I don't work for nobody. I ain't on nobody's organizations or blah blah blah. I speak from my own mind first and foremost. The reason why we don't want you saying the word or anything like that, like she said, number one, it's disrespectful. Number two, it ain't gonna make me feel no more of a brother towards you. All right? I'm just gonna keep it 100 with you. You're not gonna feel like the brother that laid next to me in bed when we was poor or anything like that. You're never gonna be that person, okay? And anybody that is black will tell you the same, all right? Number three on this thing, for you one, and I got a question just for anybody that wants to say the word. Do you want to be black? Because is it just because you just don't want to say it or anything like that? I want to be smart. That don't have a color to it though. I want to be smarter. I want to be a better poet. I want to be a better breaker. These things don't have no color to it though. There's no derogatory word to make somebody feel bad about those things. But this word, and I've been to countries, and like I'm a traveler, I'm a world traveler. I had to learn in China that nigga was the word this and that.
Yeah, it's like saying the word
this or that.
Like I know. I have a teacher who always say it, and I'll be like, yo.
It's put into another people's language. Let's just talk about the Spanish language. The color black is negro. Okay, it's already put there. This is just one of our words, and just to touch on this just real quick, this is one of our words where when we're in conversation of each other, it's our endearment word. It's our thing. You know what I'm saying? I can't go into another house and call anybody any of the other words. And just to touch on this just really quick, and I don't want to waste no time. I got plenty of I got plenty of people that's the other sex, that's not straight, that is gay or whatever. And they make fun of each other too with these certain words. But that's not for you to do. That ain't gonna make you feel, are you gonna feel that way? Is this my question to you, the world? That's my question. Do you really wanna be black? You really wanna be black? That's it.
That's it.
Word up, that's a good John. I like that. I like putting pressure on people. You know, that's my thing. I like where you're going with that one. You know what I mean? But yeah, I'm just happy to wrap up that topic. You know, I feel like it ain't too much more to say about that. Like, you know, we know what direction I'm going. So I'm just going to dance my way around that one. All right. So Macca, you want to introduce the next topic?
Yes, sir. Yeah, there's really not too much to say. Like, and it's tiring that we have to keep saying stuff about it, you know? Like, come on. All right, so the next topic that we actually have is offense actions found within our community. So speaking on appropriation and ignorance, of Black people and culture. So like with hair and facial treatments, fashion, skin darkening, just different things that that are just super appropriated, so it's not about the culture, it's not about respectively appreciating the culture and wanting to practice it and being a part of it, but just taking things that really just benefit you as somebody that's that's either not Black or non-Black person of color, or that guest, is it ties it into that guest and sideline soldier thought as well, so you're not really wanting to even bring something that you can to the culture, it's just really about taking and using that for your advantage and benefit, and also just just seeing what you like, and that's I think, what Machine said, you really want to be Black. So that's coming into that aspect of, you want to be Black, but you don't want to be Black, so it's bringing it into that as well. So so I just want to touch on that and see what any of you have to say in terms of that. So the first person that we're actually going to go with, yeah, Pep.
Yep. Okay. So, yes, I think it's very, very peculiar every time I see this happening. Especially when I went to Europe, and it was like over there, it was just kind of crazy. It was almost like I was in some kind of paradoxical universe or something, and it just took me back a little bit. Every time I see it, actually, it takes me back a little bit. I have times where I'm literally unfollowing people on Instagram that I look up to because they wearing some stuff. I'm just like, but baby, you're not really vocalizing the issues that's happening in our community, first of all. And then on top of that, like, who even are you? Like, what are you doing? What are your views? Like, nobody knows your stake in this, and having to question people about that, and then them coming back with arguments trying to justify their appropriation or appreciation. In my opinion, appreciation, you gonna throw money at the people who's doing this. You know what I'm saying? You gonna throw opportunities their way, not put it on yourself. That's some weirdo stuff. And you trying to dress it up like it's appreciation. It's not helping your case because it's obvious to us. And for me, you know what I'm saying? I'm gonna talk specifically about people who, will darken their skin or wear braids, box fade, twist, or whatever they were choosing to do. I remember I had a conversation with a young lady that was visiting Chicago from her home country. I won't say what it is because I don't want nobody to, start to target her because I don't want to be unfair. Is if she has grown from that point. But I remember we was watching some battles that was happening in the moment, and she looked and turned to me and was like, yo, what's going on? She turned to me and was like, yo, you and Macca got the same hair. And I was like, what you mean? Like, that's some weirdo stuff because don't you and Samantha got the same hair? Like, what are you talking about? That was particularly weird because at the time I had my loose hair and Macca was still rocking her locks, and I was like, you are severely misinformed. And that was what we call a microaggression because it implied that because me and Macca are both Black, we just have the same everything. We do not have the same hair. My hair does not grow on Macca's head. That was some real weirdo stuff. And it actually goes far back to what Boxwon was saying, how we are discomforted and expected to be silent in our discomfort. So they acting funny. But yes, y'all are distracting me.
We apologize, everybody who's not seeing behind the scenes a lot of stuff that's going on probably. So this, but Pat, really, this stuff that you're saying is so vital and it's so important because come on now, keep on speaking, sis.
But yeah, then so just to highlight the work that it takes as a Black woman to love and uplift ourselves, to feel confident enough to wear our own hair in public and in work spaces, to feel confident enough to feel like a queen in our skin, in our dark complected skin at that. And to deal with those nuances of the implications of dark skin throughout society and on a worldwide level. Because I know that there's other minority groups in Asian communities and Indian communities that have dark-skinned complected peoples who can also understand how we feel about being dark-skinned and what that implies as you're a member in society. And then people turning around and then putting it on as just a fun thing to do, and then being able to go home and detach themselves from the emotional trauma, the emotional work to build themselves up and to exist and live in peace and have joy and have community without all of these things in the back of your mind thinking like, well, is this happening because my hair is, natural because I ain't permed up and I ain't got the creamy crack in? Is it because, I'm saying, I ain't relaxed? Like, it's because, my skin is not like this or like that? And then y'all just fashionize and make it trendy, and now it's popping. Now it's cool. And the whole time I've been over here suffering. And do you think I look at you as an ally when I see that you're doing that? No, I don't. I feel like you're being violent. And I'm going to use that word intentionally. You're being violent when you do those things.
Thank you. Seriously. Yeah, and I want Tara to go ahead and weigh in on that as well, as a Black woman within this culture. And these are really, really important.
Yes, this is I hope people are, really listening. Everything Pep-C said, I totally relate 1,000 million %. That's not a real number. But I also just since Pep-C mentioned microaggressions, I'm just going to mention things that I've experienced that, all of the years, I've been in the scene since 97, breaking, but I've been in the culture since before that. So things that I found to be extremely violent personally and caused it so that I was not feeling comfortable within my own community are one, when companies or jams or studios would come to New York, in my very neighborhood, and treat me like I'm not part of the culture, charge me to try to sell me back my culture. People there feeling like they can act a certain way towards me because they're popular in my culture and I'm more underground. So yeah, I feel like, how are you going to come to my neighborhood and try to sell me my culture and not even acknowledge our community that you're actually capitalizing off of? And I thought about naming names, but I'm not going to do that. I'm going to be chill. Another thing is I find it violent when people host panels and they have people on the panel who are unqualified to even speak on these topics. I went to a jam once where they had a panel on hip hop and theater, and everyone on the stage was not even a real hip hop community member. It was just people who happened to do a lot of gigs. And the person who was moderating was this older German dude who just is a manager of dancers. So I'm like, who are you to be even knowing as an authority on my culture? That personally is violent, because you're educating whoever's at that event that this is who you're supposed to look to for your hip hop guidance, which is nonsense. And just in general, I want to say I felt shamed over the years just because of, I don't throw jams. I'm not going to throw jams. That's just not my thing. My thing is I like to go out and support jams. I like to support people. I like to stay involved in my culture. And there's just times people tried to come at me because I'm not trying to train and enter battles. It's I don't want to battle. I want to just live in my culture and chill. I don't want to train because I feel like I need to impress anyone or that I need to do it in a performative manner. I just want to be in my culture and chill there comfortably. And that's my right, you know. And because like a lot of these events and things cater to guests, they like, listen, I'm about to like, okay, again, behind the scenes is really silly, which is great. I love Black people. But anyway, yeah, I just want to say like, yeah, not everyone is in the culture because they're trying to be popular or make money or fame or all of those things. Like some of us, like, I just love my culture and I just like to be in it. So, you know, you could eat a dick. I'm sorry, but I'm gonna just pass the mic now.
Thank you so much, Tara. That was really important. And again, like you said, you know, you don't necessarily have to be throwing jams. You don't have to, you know, do all this extra, you know, not extra stuff, but like all these extra curricular things or whatever, in terms of being in this culture, especially like, you know, like, yeah, as a Black person, you know, like since it's already within us, you know, let us enjoy it. Shoot, ain't nothing wrong. Like, let us enjoy it. Let us be, you know, just be within it, you know? So, and I think like, and especially as a, you know, within the Black experience, man, we have such few times to just be, you know, to just be and just enjoy, you know, because it's always focused on like, we have to do something, we have to do this, we have to do that, because it's so ingrained in us that, you know, that we don't do anything supposedly. We're lazy supposedly. We're all these things supposedly, that just being a part of it and just being, you know, is something that just, you know, that's just so far, you know, in that sense for us. So definitely agree with that. Rich, you have one thing that you want to add?
Yeah, I just wanted to add, because we are talking about offensive actions, the appropriation of our culture, and all of these kind of things. And so I'll start out like this. We've all said that, you know, hip hop, breaking, Black cultures, Black dance, you know, Black and brown people brought it up through the ranks and all it is through the years. But in 2020, at least in America, if you ask somebody about breaking, breakdancing, whatever, they're going to be like, oh, yeah, there's a little Asian dance club at my school. You know what I mean? At their college, high school, whatever's going on. Oh, and then maybe street hitters. You know what I mean? Maybe street hitters. So, and if you go to jams nowadays, the demographic of the jam, mostly Asian motherfuckers. You know what I mean? Or, you know, and all kinds of guests, basically. You know, like there was a jam recently, maybe 2 years ago, For the Love in Philly, I want to say. It was at Temple, and there was a all Black panel as far as judges. There were maybe 5 crews that entered out of like 30 that were all Black b-boys, and everybody was like, yo, this a Black ass jam. 5 crews. So we were still the minority, and they saw more than, I don't know, 15 Black people at a jam, and all of a sudden the jam was mad Black. You know what I mean? So it's things like that to show y'all how comfortable y'all are in our shit. Like, y'all real comfortable, you know what I mean? And to go back to the whole before, it's offensive, you know? And then I would say pet peeve of Rich is seeing Koreans with dreadlocks, or just things like the whole dreadlock thing. Like, for real, unless you from there, and even that's a whole thing. But like, I'm talking about appropriators. People who came over here and was like, all right, I'm about to get dreads because that makes me more hip hop. I'm about to wear white tees. Like, why this motherfucker wearing a white tee? And he ain't from here. Y'all remember in high school, like the best example is cats used to buy white tees every day. Now, the purpose of having a white tee wasn't to keep buying white tees. It was to be crisp and clean, right? You don't dirty your shit up. Now, if you got enough money to buy a white tee every day, then you fucking our whole shit up. Like, what are you doing? The same thing with Air Forces. You were supposed to keep your forces clean, keep your kicks clean. But there's motherfuckers that was buying kicks all the time. And it was just like, nah, you cheating. Not only are you appropriating, but now you cheating. you cheating the system. For real. So those are just like little microaggression examples of like how, you know, people love our culture so much, but they don't, you know, they taking shortcuts through it and all kinds of stuff. And to go back to when Machine said, do you want to be Black? I yield my time.
I love that. Do you end it off like that? Do you really want to be Black? All right, Swirv, do you want to bring it home?
So everybody's talked about basically why it's offensive and a lot of offensive actions. But on the opposite side, I actually kind of wanted to explain why certain cultures would do this or do this without thinking. As Ryan and Jared had said, we lived in Korea before. And just traveling has given me a lot of experience in understanding other cultures. Now, living in Korea, I really understood what they meant by a homogeneous society, which basically they have a very family mentality that everybody is family there, meaning they can take everything from everybody and they learn directly from each other. If they're 1 year older or 1 year younger, that family hierarchy is the same no matter who you're talking to. And that's why, even if we talked about biting, the concept of biting was very foreign to them. They couldn't really understand it, why it was bad. They didn't really feel bad. We would be in practice spots and they would literally see some of the foreigners do moves and then they would practice them right in front of us. We're like, yo, this is our moves. This is our, why, what are you doing? And like, it would be a source of misunderstanding for them and for foreigners, especially us who came from America, where biting is obviously terrible. Now, the fact of the matter is they're doing the exact same thing with our culture. They feel that it is in relation to hip hop, anything and everything is up for grabs. And they also feel some, like Japan, I know there's a lot of Japanese that really feel that that culture allows them to express themselves. They try to use our culture in order to express themselves, to express their uniqueness from a homogeneous society where they feel burdened by their social pressures, etc. And they just want to look different, but they don't have the mindset of being creative. They know how to copy very, very well, but the creative aspect is something that is not taught or learned in many Asian societies specifically. And a lot of times when I was a teacher and I would ask a kid his or her their opinion, they couldn't answer. They were very scared to. They couldn't. I've made a kid cry because I asked him his opinion before, and because they did not want to be wrong. So this is all to say that if they see something that is already done and it's been known, then they'll say, okay, this is the way it should be. And coming into hip hop, they may feel that it is correct to be in order to be able to take it. But we need to educate them and other cultures on saying that, hey, it's great that you can connect with us and come into our culture and we want you here, but there's certain things that are only for the Black community, that are only for the Spanish community, etc. So that's it.
Thank you, Swirv, for letting us know about that. All right, well, Boxwon, you want to actually add on to this as well and close it up?
Yeah, I'm gonna just prime the floor for Jared to clean it up. You feel me? Like, I'm gonna tell you what to stop doing because I seen stuff and y'all need to stop doing this. You feel me? So I'll start with the story. I was in Japan doing Super Break with Moy, and they was like, yeah, we got this rap hip hop group coming on. I'm like, all right, bet, cool. I like rap. I'm Black. What's up? So then it's like these 5 Asian dudes, right? But they all got like their hair treated into afros. Like it looked like if I had a fro, it was a fro. They got like pics with the Black Power fist in it and like baggy dicky coats and the Visu jeans. And they trying to like walk with this swag. And I'm like, yo, what? So I just look at Moy and Moy was just like, yeah, they've been doing that since like the 90s, early 2000s. Like, so I don't care if nobody else gonna tell you. I'm gonna tell you that shit not okay. Don't do that shit around me. Because I got issues with that. So there's that. All of this, like, it's one thing to be a fan of the culture, you know, and we spoke about this earlier, and then brought it to light, like how Black people would assimilate, like, Kung Fu martial arts culture and stuff like that. Like, I get it. I'd tell them stop that too if it was offensive. Like, we're telling you it's offensive. Don't be out here trying to treat your lips to make your lips look more full. You see what I'm saying? Don't be out here braiding your hair. You see what I'm saying? Don't do it. It's not a joint. Don't be out here darkening your skin because you want to look like you're a part of something else. Like, that's a bad joint. Like, don't do it.
But there's really no way to dance around it. Like most people gonna try and be cool about it. I'm gonna just tell you, don't do that. Good. So I'm gonna pass it to Jared, and then Jared, you swing it to Machine, because I can just go on.
Yeah, no, I appreciate it. Yeah, just kind of piggybacking off of that, like pretty much it's just doing the self-study. Like anything that Black people do that we're not allowed to do in like general society, like wear our hair in braids, like dress a certain way, things that we get criticized for. If you do that and you don't understand the reason why it's specific to us, like you can't like braid your hair and do box braids and then start calling it something else and not understand why Black people are offended because you haven't done your research. You know what I mean? It's like, these are things that like will make sure that we don't have a job. Like being dark will make sure we don't have a job. Doing all this stuff will make sure that we don't have a job. Like we can't function in normal society. But then it's cool on your IG to like, you know, like get a little tan, like plump up your lips, wear your hair in an afro, but then you don't understand like the cultural significance of why we can't do that, why it's wrong for us to do that. And that's where the appropriation part comes from, I feel, is because if you understood it, you wouldn't do it. Just like the reason why I don't say the N-word in mixed company is because I don't want people to take it the wrong way and flip it, because it's like, y'all don't understand and I don't have time to explain it to you. And that's why I always say, go learn your history. It's not just about the moves, it's about the whole cultural aspect of it. And yeah, it's just messed up. Like Box said, I'm gonna just tell you straight up, don't do it. I have conversations like that all the time. Don't do it. Don't do it around me. Yeah, I could keep going forever, so I'm just gonna cut it off.
I say I would want to swing this over to Nem and then let, you know, one of the ladies finish up, because I'm sure like Pep, you know, she spoke on this a little bit earlier and I feel like she would have a lot to say on this topic. So yeah, I'll let Nemesis go.
Y'all are saying the you know, you don't like the afros, the darkening of the skin sort of thing and these things. And I get it. I totally understand. And this is not me necessarily advocating or agreeing with what they're doing. I'm just trying to add some perspective here. And I don't think that's coming from a malicious place. You know what I'm saying? Of them being like, you know, like here, if somebody did it, you know, we look at it as, okay, you're not just appropriating, but you're making fun of it at the same time. And because you know the historical context of blackface and how, you know, Blacks was treated during a certain time. So if it was, you know, people that are from here and they fully understand the historical context of why that's not okay, I totally understand what you guys are saying. But you visited a whole nother country in a whole nother place on a whole nother side of the world. And, you know, for a people that has a lot more respect and a lot more love for the culture than other people that is not of the culture here over there, they take it as a sign of respect when they try to be like you. You know what I mean? And we don't take it that way, but that's how they see it. If they're like, you know, they love this thing or like this thing so much that we want to try to emulate those people that are of this culture. We want to be that, you know what I mean? So I think even though we don't like it, we have to take into account of the actual context of where it's coming from. It's not coming from a malicious place. That's what I'm going to say, you know? Behind the scenes.
Okay, so now I'm going to argue now.
No, I'm just saying, hold on, I wasn't there because they...
Let's argue.
Yeah, so I just want everybody to understand that it's just not like an angry thing or like somebody being upset or mad that, you know, somebody else is, you know, showing love to what we're doing. I think that has to be a conversation for every, you know, for people who do that, because I know in Japan, it's all these different people who emulate all these different cultures around the world. So I think we should have this kind of conversation with those people, you know, on another forum in a different way, is what I'm saying.
Yeah. Oh, okay. I get you now.
Yeah. All right.
But what I'm saying is, no. No, but I do think we should hold people who are in the United States that are of those other cultures accountable as well to be ambassadors of information, because they be walk around here like, you know what I'm saying, they know what's up. If they really know what's up, then they need to be sending the message along. You feel me? Because I've had multiple conversations. That same girl that's asked me about Macca's hair, talking about we had the same hair. Multiple conversations over a course of months. And during this whole thing with the lynching of George Floyd in public, she didn't say not one thing, not nothing. I'm like, baby, now you can't say that you're ignorant to the facts, because we already had multiple conversations. And I feel like it's a lot of people like that. Of course, it's a nuanced conversation, because you have people who are actively being, actively looking away from the facts and just doing what they want to do. Then there's people who are actually ignorant and need to be informed. And then there's others that are informed and they acting as allies, but they are not passing on the information to their buddies. So it's a lot, you know what I'm saying? It can't just all be on us having the conversation. Like, they need to be having the conversations too. And then other people who understand that this may be offensive to a community of Black people, because not all Black people feel the same way. Because some women who get in the box braids and they twerking and this and that, they are providing income to Black teachers and instructors, Black hair braiders and beauticians. You feel me? And we have a lot of them question themselves, like, is this okay that I'm providing these services to these appropriators, but I'm getting a bag, baby. Like, I'm trying to make these monies. So I feel like it is a nuanced conversation that we have to attack from more than one angle. And it can't be, in the conversation, can't be much of just ignorant. No, you're not. You're not. I'm sorry. If you know who Kool Herc is, African body is, you know, freaking mad dumb information. I know. You know mad information, but you don't get these little things. That's weird. I can't believe that they that ignorant. I really can't.
Yeah, I mean, they're definitely choosing what they want to know at that, you know, most of the times at that point. But yeah, I definitely agree. You got to look at it through multiple lens and through multiple ways, you know, because some people genuinely just really, truly like the culture and like the way, you know, the way it makes them feel, you know, so. But at that sense, they also truly, because they genuinely enjoy it, they want to give as well to it, you know, and not just take. So it's just definitely understanding those differences, y'all. Thank you so much for speaking on this topic. Honestly, I mean, we can go all day, you know, on this topic, but we have 2 more topics that we want to speak on, and, you know, and we definitely want to be able to share those with the audience as well. So, Box, if you want to move on into the next topic.
Yeah, for sure. We actually are on the last topic. You know, the last one was a combination of, you know what I mean? But it's all good. We've been here, you know, acting like degenerates in the background. But, you know, it's good for us to have a forum where we can communicate like this, you know, so, you know, where this is servicing us as much as it's servicing you. So, you know, y'all have no choice but to accept that, because I really don't care how y'all feel. So, yeah, the last topic we're going to touch on is, you know, the representation, understanding the importance of Black representation in hip-hop centered, like, cultural events, you know, especially the ones organized by non-Black people of color and white people. I feel like this is significant because, again, just the American, like, perspective, you know, you see yourself, I'll just use dance films as a point of reference, right? In every dance film, the main character is someone white doing Black dance styles. So we can go through all of the step ups, you know, like I've had mad people like, oh, you're a dancer? Oh, like I love that guy Moose. Like, do you know him? Do you know Moose? I mean, I don't know fucking Moose. Like, I don't know who Moose is. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, he's just like a puppet. You know, there's always a white girl doing this, that, and the third. Anyway, the point of representation being that in America, we are not usually selected to represent things that we create because there needs to be a white footprint on it. You get what I'm saying? For it to be validated. You understand? Like even down to university, like academia, like ballet is seen as a major, hip hop is an elective. You get what I'm saying? So there's different things like that. So just being underrepresented is why this is a topic that needs to be discussed, you know? Like I can go on for days and days, look at the Olympic panels, stuff like that, like where black people at. But anyway, so I'm just gonna pass this off to, let's see who we got. We'll start with Nem, you know. He's old, he's crusty, he's been around. He can speak on this. Come on, you black on both sides, Nem, go ahead.
All right. To keep on topic here, Black representation. Now, we could speak about it on different angles, right? So, like, let's say right now on a scholastic level, talk about Black representation. Like, I see people, not Black representation in hip hop. I see there are other people who quote unquote call themselves hip hop scholars, who more oftentimes than not are not Black. You know what I'm saying? So in that regard, I think it just takes, a lot more people to, and this is not even, based on, this is not the people choosing them or anything like that. These are from dissertations, manifestos, and different papers that they probably written because they went to school, you know what I'm saying, and gotten some sort of doctrine or master's in, in a particular field. And then, they're deemed this sort of like scholar or whatever in hip hop, quote unquote, So I think it just takes more of people like us trying to get more invested into that field to kind of like push forward in terms of, representation on a scholastic level. And those are the kind of people that, people usually reach out to, you know what I mean? And it could be some of the people that we know, the people that come around and ask us questions about the culture, or the people that go around and just, they're documenting things, but they're documenting things because they have resources to, they don't have resources, but people reach out to them because of the degree they probably have because they went to school or whatever, right? Now, let's talk about people who are trying to, representation in other areas, right? Like you said, the Olympics or anything like that. Now, I want us, like I said, this goes back to the victim thing, what I was talking about before, is that we are not creating our own platforms enough to actually take control of our culture, to present it in the right way so that we can represent. So, like right now we're on other platforms that are not, owned by us or run by, and when I say us, I don't mean us specifically, I mean, Black people, that's just a testament to what I'm actually talking about right now. I think that we cannot be like, because you have this thing and this is Black culture, you should involve one of us. When that person actually is the one who created that whole thing, that platform from scratch, and that particular person, put out the money for it, I think that if you want something, do it yourself, build it yourself. You know what I'm saying? Like, we don't have to constantly piggyback off of somebody else's thing, is what I'm saying. So this is how we take control and constantly put or keep Black representation within hip hop. That's all I really wanted to say. There you
go. All right. I appreciate that, good brother. Again, you're giving away too much sauce, but it's cool. You give a little bit, you're trying to do a part two, my man. You messing it up. So anyway, who was up scheduled to be next after Nemesis? Swirv. Go on Swirv on him.
Following on to what Nemesis' point was, we don't have enough representation in our own culture. Many of the top people who are leading the culture are not Black, or not African American, or are on the boards, et cetera. And we also recognize that there has been a sharp decline of African American breakers in the scene in general. You go to China and you go to one of their bigger jams and you see 100+ crews of all Chinese. And they're all 4-6 member crews. You know, they'll have a jam for 3 days, but it's hard enough to find Black people in California that can make a whole crew, you know, in LA. So basically what we were doing, and it was Get Nasty who came up with the idea originally for Make History. He wanted to make a Black-centered jam, and I was all on board when I saw it. I said, hey, let's get together and let's do this as work. And we wanted to make a place for Black dancers, B-girls and B-boys to all come together and feel that they are special, to know that, remind us that our culture is our culture. A safe space for us to talk to each other the way that we want to talk to each other, to build the way that we want to build, etc. I believe that we do need to have more platforms like this, not just Make History. I want us to be able to try and use our abilities and our creative mindsets in order to be more involved. And if you're having an event yourself, if you're having something that is about the culture and you may not even understand fully something about the culture, ask somebody that is Black. Get involved. Reach out to a Black B-boy or B-girl. And also, if you are coming into the culture, you have knowledge of the culture, and you see other Black kids that you can help out, bring them into the culture. Introduce them to other members that look like them, that are their skin color. So, because we need to have more heroes like us. We need to be able to see each other and see what we can do, see our abilities. So that's basically what I wanted to do, what we wanted to do with Make History, and we continually want to have that represented through our culture.
No doubt, man. Y'all definitely did that. Y'all exceeded expectations in that regard. You know, that's the John. Who do we have next coming up? I don't have the list.
Yo, yeah. So, kind of to piggyback, I also have, you know, I throw events. I'm known as a promoter and MC. I teach. I'm breaking, and I'm trying to get in every aspect of you know, supporting breaking that I can, because, you know, there's always that question of like, what's your level of involvement? You know what I mean? And as we were saying earlier, you know, I was born into this. And as a person, you know, as a Black person rather, that does hip hop dance, I strive to be a leader because there are people watching. You know what I mean? There are people watching. As we were saying, you know, there's some people that try to mimic, appropriate, whatever word you want to use. But, you know, I don't want to go to, just like, you know, you're taking a hip hop class and they're dancing to pop music, and, you know, as an Asian and a white girl teaching it. It's just like, what's going on in here? You know what I mean? But at the same time, am I doing it? You know what I mean? So it's also that same standard. That's why I feel that I have to do it, to keep it genuine, to keep it traditional, to not rob people of full experiences and things like that. So that's why I literally do everything I can. Like if you need me to, I'm trying to even get into DJing. Like if you need me to support in any kind of way, if I need that, I know who to call. I know, you know, Black DJs, I know Black MCs, I know Black, you know what I mean? Like if I could do it the way Make History did it, you know what I mean? I strive to do that. And then another thing is too, keeping it, you know, to keep it funky as far as jams. The reason I started throwing jams is because I got tired of jams. You was ever at a jam, it was like, yo, this is whack. I ain't feeling this. There's no after party. There's no ciphers. What's up? Yes. Yeah.
I'm so sorry. I don't even mean to cut you off. People, I gotta go right now. I got an appointment I gotta go to right now, man, and everything. I just want to say I love all y'all, and hopefully we can do this again very soon. Rich, please don't lose your thought, because I know it's a great one. I love all y'all, man. I'm so sorry that I got to leave right now. I got an engagement I got to go to right now before I leave and everything. I love you, and keep this going. Macca, hey, Box, love you. Robert, yo, Ryan, all y'all, man. Love y'all.
La Macca, we love you, brother.
Okay.
All right, bro.
I'll talk to y'all soon.
Safe, bro.
All right, Rich. Continue, brother.
Yep. Yeah, man. No doubt. No doubt. Yeah, man. Yo, shout out to Robert, yo. Yo, y'all peep that right? He was like, all right, Robert.
I was definitely like, I don't know. I was like, I don't know
Yo,
who Robert is, but I'm
that's yo, that's my man. And then if I could also go into representation, yo, can I say something about my man Machine right now? When I first started breaking as a black b-boy and not seeing many other b-boys who look like me or that dance like me, or he would come in there and just snatch the energy. Like he ain't known for his air flares, is he? Right? He known for that energy, like that raw energy. He was doing something that nobody else was doing. And honestly, he was such a leader for b-boys like me. He was one of the reasons I stayed in the game because I thought that shit was corny. I used to go to jams. Like I said, there's a bunch of Asians there. Half of them is choreo heads with 3 flares. You know what I mean? Like that's not, to me, that's not breaking. That's not a jam. You know what I mean? If it wasn't for the other things and seeing people I fucks with at the jam, you know what I mean? That, just being comfortable in something that's familiar because like I said, I'm from this. So if I go there and it look unfamiliar, to me, that's not hip hop. But it got this big old it got a hip hop label, it got a cash prize, it got, you know what I mean? It got all the stuff that it should be, but it's empty. It's like soulless. You know what I mean? So as far as so going back to my old thought, like he was saying, don't lose my thought. I kind of did, but no, I'm saying jams was whack, and then that's why I was like, yo, I'm gonna start throwing my own jams. That was never my original plan. But I just wanted to remind people, what's having a good time and what a jam really was, because a jam originally was parties, right? It wasn't all about the competition. Yeah, if you had beef, you squashed it, you got down, and that's what it was going on. But it wasn't about like, yo, we going to this jam, like this party, just a battle, and then we leave. That wasn't like you waited, you did your prelim, and you went home. Like that's not hip hop. As you know, not to sound cliche, but like that's not hip hop. Like you could put all the labels on it that you want, but shit's corny, B. You know what I mean? Now I ask y'all, do you want to be black? I yield my time. Yeah.
There's gonna be so many quotables from this, and that's exactly what I was like hoping for. So now when somebody out of line, you can just check them like, do you want to be black? Let's meme it, let's gif it, all of that. We need it to circulate. We need everybody on this. Yeah, so is there anybody else who wants to be heard before anything happens? I'm just gonna ignore Jared because he's asked several times, so I'm gonna act like I don't know that he's been asking to get on. So yeah, anybody?
Box always asking. You don't know I live here. I'm here in Philly. Hey. Faking. I'm a Philly head now, boy. Relax.
Ooh, you got the drum.
Yeah, just piggybacking off of what everybody's already said. Like, we definitely do need to build it for ourselves. Representation is important. Part of what's interesting is that hip hop has started to become lucrative, and therefore, people are looking to ways to make the best amount of money, and that's by putting it in the suburbs, putting it in places where affluent people can pay to learn hip hop. But they're not paying to learn culture. But those people aren't paying to learn about the history of it, and that's why it's important for us to actually be there, because people are in love with the cultural aspects that they can profit off of. You know what I mean? They love the dance, they love the clothing, they love the style. They don't like to hear about the oppression. They don't like to hear about like the laws and the regulations. Like even right now, we got 150 people off this stream. I know more than 150 people shared that flyer. You know what I mean? It's like, that's crazy. It's like, but it's not cool. That's not the cool part to talk about. So it's like, yeah, you have to build it for the people that are willing to listen to it. And it's like, like hip hop is a vehicle, okay? Like for all intents and purposes, it's like, yes, it was a reaction to oppression, but it's like the dance is a vehicle for people to understand what it is that we go through. You know what I mean? The music is a vehicle to go understand what it is we go through. The words speak to it, and people are dancing to Black music while trampling on Black souls, and that's crazy to me. It's like, but it's like they can, because they've separated it. And it's like, if Black people aren't the ones heading the movement to bring it back to the core roots, then there's a disconnect. And like that's why people in other countries can learn about breaking without learning about Black culture. And it's like it's all intertwined. And I would like for us to be able to go to those places where it's like we're not just teaching a breaking lesson. It's like, you know, there's very few Black studios in the DMV where I'm from. And the ones that do, it's like they teach culture, but it's like a dime a dozen. Like the super successful studios aren't teaching hip hop culture, they're teaching moves, you know? And so we need to head that movement. We need to make a media source that speaks to the things that we need to talk about. And we need to make it poppin', because yes, it is true. Like Black people are the wave. Black people are, everybody will hop on, but it's like, you gotta dig in, you gotta, you know, take it and then just go from it. You know what I mean? And that is not to say that everybody should be absolved of their responsibility to learn on their own and to fight these battles, because that goes back to the whole appropriation thing, that you can learn about the aspects that you want. Like you can learn about the hair and the culture and like all that other stuff, but that's a part of the culture. It's like, it's your job to learn all of it. So yes, it is equally our job to fortify something, but it's also your job to understand how you play into subjugating us by not standing up and being actively anti-racist, by being actively like anti-systemic to what holds us down. So learn about those things that are making it so much harder, because it is easier for us to collectively put our money behind somebody that is not Black and ask them to go do it, because nobody's gonna fight the white guy or the Asian guy that wants to invest in something, because there's not a stigma that they're not going to be profitable. There's a stigma that we will. And so we have to use our resources. But I'm just saying, like, it's also it's like part of your ability to like do that justice, you know?
All right, I appreciate that, good brother. We're going to swing it over to the ladies' perspective. Pep, if you will.
I just want to go back to what I was talking about when we first kind of introduced ourselves, and my value of just putting Black culture in the perspective of Black hearts to be valued in general, and keeping us a part of the scene so that our voices are not erased from the history and from the current day, every day of what hip hop is. If we are excluded from your events, then really your event is not a part of the moment. And I think that's factual, but it might be my opinion. A lot of the reasons, because first of all, if we up in there, it's most likely hyped. We hype, the energy is on point. The source of energy that was used to fuel the movement in the first place will be present. So it's no choice but for your jam to be popping. And then, like I said before, like you want to continue the stories of black people and their lives being told, and their histories being told. It's a tradition of Black erasure in American culture and the world culture. So preserving those histories, preserving those stories has to be an intentional effort as a community of breakers, not just put on the backs of Black people. We are here. It's mad Black people trying to break and trying to be in the scene and be a part of hip hop. But it often takes a long time for the opportunities to become to be realized. We have to put in so much work, and it should not be that hard for us to be seen or be heard in the scene. That's a huge problem. The few jams that I've been a part of that I've been able to be invited to, only reason why I was invited because some of my Black brothers and sisters in hip hop they helped me out. They got my name out there. Otherwise, I would still be, just trying to work up some money. You feel me? I remember literally when I was maybe 3 years ago, I was only in chicken strips from Dairy Queen because I worked there, breakfast, lunch, and dinner. Chicken strips from the leftovers because I was trying to save money to go to jams. Like this is what we are up against as far as us being in a place. You need to see our face in a place because we have so much perspective to offer. And with more of us in the scene, there is there's the ability to have more uniting. And we won't have to have discussions like they don't know what they're doing and that they don't know that that's offensive because we're gonna be there to check months. And I'm gonna be there and he gonna be behind me like, yeah, for sure. Like listen to her. Or I'm gonna be beside him like, yeah, for sure. Like he's speaking that truth. You need to listen to him. And it's not gonna be like one of us there as a token, feeling like we have to be uncomfortable because if we speak up, we got mad people that don't look like us around us that might, you know what I'm saying, revolt or be offended. That's my piece.
All right, so I think that's a powerful way to end this. You know what I mean? I feel like every perspective was valid. It offered something different. You feel me? So I kind of just want to transition into, just closing statements. You know, a lot of things are covered here today. You know, who knows if we do a part two? Well, obviously we are, and then gave it away or whatever. So there's that. But yeah, I just want to give everybody a chance to, just give a message or, just share some additional information that they feel like they may have missed. And, to take this time to connect with the people. And, first and foremost, I'll say thank you for everybody for sticking around. Like, I've been watching the comments on the side. People have been invested. Like, we appreciate y'all. So, kick it over to them.
Hey, so I gotta get out of here real soon, but I just want to give a heads up that Stance and the Pro Breaking Tour is producing my next episode of Let's Talk About It. I got another first generation b-boy named B-Boy Sasa. Some of y'all might have heard of him out there. Coke LaRock and Kool Herc named him the A1 b-boy during that time, like that they felt and knew that he was the guy that took it from where it began to, I guess, another level for them. You know what I mean? So I'll be interviewing him this Tuesday at 2:00. 2:00 Eastern time, probably earlier in the West, and then, later across these. But basically, tune in. It's going to be pretty dope. We're going to talk about his experience, going to Kool Herc's parties, the history of the dance itself. Who did he see during that time? What music they were listening to? And then, we're going to get into the time when he ended and stopped dancing, which was 1976. You know what I mean? But all in all, I urge y'all to go check out that first interview that I did with Dancing Doug, who is one of the first 4 b-boys who to help to start the dance itself too. So in that, I appreciate all of you guys and us having this conversation and talk. I hope everybody out there got something from all of us speaking. You know what I mean? I mean, to me, I might be considered the separatist out of the group here because I think that it just takes all of us to kind of build together rather than looking at everybody else and asking to be included in something and being included in something that somebody else is doing. That's just not the way I rock. You know what I'm saying? I'm all about building from the ground up my own shit because that way I can dictate how things go. You know what I mean? But I urge everybody, let's build together and let's work together. Allies, if you love this culture and you love, what this culture has done for you, if this culture has provided work for you, if it's provided, a way for you to live, please support its people in terms of being an ally. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm not asking you for anything, or I'm not even asking dancers to post up Black Lives Matter shit or any of that stuff. You know what I'm saying? I think, you don't have to prove to anybody that you're not a racist or if you even are racist. I think that in this regard, when it comes to us as a people, we just have to work together. You know what I'm saying? To me, racism is going to continue regardless of anything. But what we can do as a people is to work together to build so that the policies that we need, the things that we want is implemented. You know what I'm saying? And we don't have to deal with anything else. But I appreciate all of you guys. Enjoy the rest of your day. Saturday is fucking beautiful. Thank you very much. Peace. Can't leave. All right. Bye.
Nem, do not leave. Do not close your video because you know why, and I don't want to kill you. So boom, we're going to move on to the next person. I'm going to just start selecting at random. You know what I'm saying? I'm gonna pick. Let's go with Tara. I haven't heard Tara's voice in a while, so.
All right. Well, for the wrap up, I just want, like, let's really make our hip hop spaces like a brave space. And brave space means like that, one, we know how to listen. Two, we know how to like have uncomfortable conversations, which is adult. You know what I'm saying? So use hip hop culture, not just for you to grow as like a dancer or an artist, but also as a person where you know how to respect people, where you know how to respect yourself, where you know how to evolve and become better, you know, in terms of the way that you're moving in the world and what you're contributing to society, and that you're not causing harm to people, especially the people who are responsible for the culture that has changed your life forever and ever and ever and ever. Because we will always be here forever and ever. And I just want to shout out my crews, Heartbreakers in the building, Mawu in the building, the Anomalies crew, my first crew, which is the crew that really put me on to not just hip hop, but like activism. Like activism is a part of hip hop. So get that in your life too. And I'm actually also Boogie Brats. So shout out to all those crews. And yeah, peace, love, and hair grease.
All right. That's a good job. We're gonna slide on over to Rich.
Yo. Yeah, I'm glad. I'm grateful for everyone here. I think it's really important that we get organized. I mean, that's one of the things that we have to do for in general. But you know, as it's great to see Black people getting together. You know what I mean? As Pep was saying earlier, there's something that's called the Black Code. There's something. Have you ever seen two Black people give each other the head nod? That's part of, you know what I mean. That's something that's just a connection that we all share, and because we all were all born into the skin. You know what I mean. So with that, that's as far as being an ally. Like it all starts like it's not our job. I don't know if anyone said this, but it's really not our job to teach you and hold your hands. You know what I mean? Like, at the end of the day, like we have to be in, our house is on fire right now. You know what I mean? Y'all get to come and go as y'all want. We got to deal with the fire no matter what. As far as putting it out and all of that. So those are just things to think about that, each and every one of us go through. There are times that, especially, I don't know how everybody's situation is, but as a Black B-boy, you can win a jam. You can have a big famous name like Boxwon, but he still got to come back to the ghetto of Philly. You know what I mean? Like you travel the world and do all kinds of stuff, and he might get stuck up.
No more. I got it about a year ago.
Word. But y'all know what I mean. He's still, just he has to come back, and he's still a Black man. As we said, is being in breaking, we're kind of in a bubble sometimes, and we forget this. We forget what it's like on the other end. Once you leave that jam, and you got to go back to where you're from and doing the things that you do. But as usual, I love y'all. The breaking scene is my home. You know what I mean? I consider myself true to that. I always remember who I'm doing it for. I do it for people who's really about this life. Like I always ask people all the time, are you really about this life? Or are you just here to do some tricks and win some money? You know what I mean? Like there's people that's really in the scene. And honestly, there's nothing wrong with if you recognize that you a guest and you're just trying to win some prize money, or if you're just trying to learn 3 flares and go back to your choreo group, then sure, just let me know at the gate. You know what I mean? Don't let me know at the gate. Don't act hip hop and you're not really about it. And that's pretty much all we were saying this whole time. So I appreciate, and then I'm not really a fan, but shout out to Stance for having us use that platform for to get this message out and get it right this time.
Word up. Let's swing it over to Ryan.
Yeah, so I don't really got too much to say. Everybody else has put everything so perfectly. All I got to say is this: we put a lot of pressure on studio choreo teachers and studio hip hop teachers to be teaching breaking and teaching the history as well. But I can't even tell you how many times like I've met people and we just kind of assume that people that are that just walk into a practice spot already know the history and they already know their shit. So it's like we gotta take some responsibility on ourselves. Like all these people be over here. I hate y'all. There's a lot of tomfoolery going on in the chat. So I'm gonna wrap it up. But yeah, all I was saying is, like, I don't know how many times people come to a practice spot and they come in and you just, they ask for like to learn some moves or something like that, and you just assume that, oh, you're not in a studio, this stuff. So we gotta take a little bit of responsibility in terms of educating our own, like just as urban as somebody may think they are, or whatever word we're using now. It's like, history comes in many forms. Like we gotta be checking people on the knowledge, not just the words. You know what I'm saying? That's all.
Word up, I felt that entirely. My bad, y'all. We gonna swing this joint over to the twin face. You come over, I promise. Go ahead.
Yo, this man. Yeah, so just to wrap it up, like hip hop culture is just a place where I feel comfortable, It's like between like the clothes and the way I speak, how I act, like, outside in regular society, that stuff is looked down upon. But in hip hop, it's like, it's highlighted, it's celebrated, and for me, it's always been a safe space, where I can just be myself. And, we haven't really talked on this, but I think it's very important, because Black people are looked down upon, like, culturally. But if you think about it, like, Black women especially, and, Black LGBTQ community is also looked down upon. And it is not entirely a safe space for them. And I think it's also important for us as a whole community to make it a safe space for everyone, especially within our Black community, because a friend pointed out that, if me and Ryan, when we would go out and travel and meet people, they'd be like, yo, you can come sleep on our couch. And like, we would go to whatever country and like sleep with, whatever. But it's like, it's not that same experience for everybody, Like, I don't know how many women are allowed to like move safely through those spaces, And it's like, we need to do a better job of like protecting our Black community as well. So just make it a safe space for everybody. We welcome outsiders, but like protect our own, all right?
I stamp.
Word to the bird. All right, we're going to finish off. We're going to hit Swirv and then let Pep bring us home. Pep had the passion this whole talk.
All right, guys. I think everybody said everything that really needed to be said. But if you guys have any questions at all, please hit us up. Like, we're all open to discussion. I don't think you don't have to be afraid of being attacked at all or anything. We're able to talk to you freely. So especially if you want to connect with us, hit me up at B-Boy Swirv or at Make History. And anything that you guys know, let us know. I'm out.
Pep-C.
All right. Yes. So first of all, shout out to God, Children of Soul, my crew. My first brothers in hip hop. Secondly, I just want to say, man, if you walk into the room with the heart to learn and to listen, then things will just be a lot easier, man. Like, period, point blank. Listen to the person next to you. You a dancer if you're watching this, more than likely, so you know about body language. Don't ignore it. If you see somebody's uncomfortable, don't just let them be uncomfortable. If you see something horrible happening to somebody, don't just be a bystander. Do something. Don't just learn a dope 6-step, a dope windmill. Don't let that be your contribution to the scene. Do more. Be more. Also, I just want to direct y'all to some resources. I'm pretty sure that's going to happen, regardless. But you know what I'm saying? Girl in the Tactics. They have a lot of resources and it's constantly updating on how to be an ally. Some places to donate as far as Black people who need help. They have just a plethora of resources that you can look to, and it's very easy. I just send you there, go there. They got links, all of that. There's commentary on YouTube. Look it up. If you got a question, look it up. If you got a friend, ask them. Don't be afraid to ask questions. It's better to know and ask than to just walk around here ignorant, acting dumb. And yeah, like if you see that Black people are uncomfortable, don't blame them for their discomfort. That's weird. Try to reach to get some understanding. As far as myself and what I value in hip hop culture, it's always going to be about uplifting Black people, especially women and girls. Just as a psychological aspect and liberating our minds and being able to be free without the fear of dehumanization and violence. So don't be violent towards us, because y'all gonna don't act surprised if we become violent back. Don't act surprised now. And hopefully if we do, y'all standing next to us. If y'all can cycle with us, then you can ride with us. That's something I feel I believe in. Or if you don't like riding, you can at least protest with us. Something. So that's all I got to say. You know what I'm saying? Stay up, be blessed, and yeah. Peace.
And that's why she got to close it out. Y'all heard that? You can cipher with us, you can ride with us. You pull a card. All right. I guess I'll have to prep the table for Miss Macca, you know, the Queen Mother herself, because I know as somebody who sat in the background during this whole conversation, we'd have a lot of thoughts, ideas, things we want to express. And Macca has just been being her Queen Mother self and just moderating perfectly through this whole process. As you've seen, some of us have been just like, you know, growing closer together. We'll say that. You know, so Macca, the floor is yours, please.
Thank you, Box. I appreciate it.
Yeah, whatever.
I can't really be mad, you know, because like I said, this is it's a safe space, you know, for us. So just to be able to let our guards down in that sense, you know, of just laughing and cracking jokes and just being Black, you know. Even if it was behind the scenes and most of you are pretty much everybody watching didn't really see it until they saw somebody pop up and just crack up and, you know, in the middle of somebody actually speaking on something serious. So just know it's not out of nowhere. There's just some jokes that are in the background, you know, and it's just us enjoying ourselves in this time. But again, this is it's a very serious, you know, topic and subjects that we have brought up and that we wanted to share with our audience to experience, you know. Pep, thank you so much for bringing up guerrilla tactics. So again, in terms of our allies, if you are looking to get some more information and understanding on how to be an ally, please go to our website, guerrillatactics.com, and you can see an entire resource guide on what to do and how to do it. And there's really no excuse at all. And this is specifically in terms of being an ally. So make sure you check that out, you know. Again, I'm just really glad that we had this time. I know we're going on 3 hours now. So for all of y'all that have been tuning in with us for 3 hours, I appreciate it, you know. We appreciate it. So that's great. But also, you know, it's necessary. So there's really only so much, you know, of a pat on the back that you get for that, because, you know, we haven't had these spaces, like this type of space in for a while now, you know, to like collectively speak like this, you know. So and we have those here and there, but to be able to reach worldwide is just a great thing. And I just want to close it out on my end before I pass it over to Box, who organized this. And thank you so much to you, Box, for stepping up to do that. I just want to, you know, speak to us as a people. There's, if any of you know Asada Shakur, but there's this quote that she has made famous, and it's specifically recited within, when there are protests and rallies and, just Black people coming together and wanting to honoring ourselves. So I'm specifically speaking to us now, on this platform. And I just want y'all to take in this quote, and whenever you feel like the need to remember who we are and what we're here to do, and then the necessity of what we need to do, just to remember this quote, which is, "It is our duty to fight for our freedom. It is our duty to win. We must love each other and support each other. We have nothing to lose but our chains." And that last part is really important. We have nothing to lose but our chains. So I really encourage us all to continue to do the work, continue to, grow with each other, reach out to each other, and continue to build, because there's so much work that needs to be done. And I'm really interested to see how it will fall within hip hop, period. And also within the world, because it's all connected. So I'm really looking forward to that and the continued work. So thank you so much for having me, Box. I appreciate it.
You're welcome, lady. You're all right. No, I appreciate you. But yeah, I guess it's my turn. Again, thank you everybody for coming out. You went around for the beginning. The reason I organized this is because there's a lot of different people from a lot of different backgrounds with a lot of different experiences. So they have a lot of different information to offer, I'm just happy that we were able to cover all of these topics that we discuss amongst ourselves, but we were never able to talk about them on a platform, like this, like policy, the caricature of like Black people being made into something like, like that Asian culture topic we talked about. But yeah, I'm just glad that we were able to just, have this discussion. I've been watching a lot of feeds. Thank you for everybody. The biggest takeaway the biggest thing I want to explain as a takeaway for me is like, I want people to just do better. Like Macca said, yes, there's a lot to learn. Yes, there's a lot to do, but like, we should never fear that. You get what I'm saying? Like, I feel like as people involved in breaking culture, breaking to me was always something that's just like, it's ever growing. You're supposed to get better every day. You're supposed to work every day to get better and grow and reach a new plateau. So like, why would you only want to do that with breaking? Like, why do that in your life? Like, understand somebody, help somebody be the best you could be. Like, everybody was tore up when Kobe died, but they don't even know like Kobe's whole mama mentality thing. That was be the best version of yourself, always elevate, always be, aspire to be your greatest self. So, I just want y'all to do better, man. Like, literally gave y'all resources straight up, like from I shut my Instagram down on dance tip and we started feeding y'all information. We created this panel and now we got 8 other people feeding y'all information. You know what I'm saying? So it's there. Like, now it's up to you to do something. And with that being said, I guess we could just say it's a wrap. I wish I had one of them director stick joints that just, But so everybody unmute and let's just clap it up for ourselves.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Hey.
You know what I'm saying? We gonna take on the Nemesis mentality. We don't need help from nobody. We clap for ourselves. You feel me?
Nobody wanna see us to
Oh
right,
my
peace,
God.
y'all. Shut it down, Ryan. Shut it down before they start to see us. They can see us for who we are.
Hey, yo, check out Nemesis on Stance. Make sure y'all go to
I gotta cut it off now. You gone.
Check out the next.